Welcome to You Hear Big Girls, Attack on Titan podcast. I'm Mom Taco.
And I'm Luna, and this month we're happy to have guests from the Attack on Titan Wiki Team, Rune Lai and Neetaku. Welcome.
Hi, happy to be here.
Hi.
Hey guys. So can you talk a little bit about what you guys do on the wiki?
I'm one of the Wiki's 5 administrators, and generally what I do is I monitor the discussion in forums, and I also edit pages. Lately, if you've been on the Attack on Titan wiki and you've been reading the episode summaries of Attack on Titan Season 3 Part 2, all those summaries were written and screenshotted by me. So my work's been pretty prominent recently.
And what about you, Neet? What is your job?
I, too, am an admin on the wiki, and I do basically just random edits. I don't have a set thing like Rune Lai does when it comes to writing summaries. I usually write the new information for individual character pages. So, like, I'm the one who updated Eren's page this month about what he did in 119.
Neetaku is also the one responsible for most of those list of character appearances that you see at the bottom of each anime and manga page. That is primarily his work.
That is true.
So I'll just repeat what HK47 said. He was one of the Reddit mods when I announced that you all were going to be our guests this month. He said that he called you guys next level beasts and said it was amazing. And I agree with that. I mean, the wiki is something as a meta writer that I use all the time, but I actually know very little about the people behind it or how it's operated. So I'm really looking forward to the Q&A later in the podcast where we'll be able to ask you guys some questions. But let's get into our manga discussion now. Let's start with this month's chapter impressions. And maybe, Rune, maybe you would go first?
All right. Well, I really like this chapter because it was very busy. There was a lot going on. I really like that the older brother, younger brother parallel that they ran through the chapter. I hadn't actually realized that we had 3 pairs of brothers in this series until this chapter. And I realized, like, wow, there's so much of a older brother, younger brother dynamic going through here and how each of their relationships are different. We might not necessarily know exactly what Eren and Zeke's relationship is at this point, but Falco and Colt's relationship has always been pretty evident, and it was nice for Porco to finally realize why he never got to go to paradise. It was nice that after wanting to see his brother's memories so long, he finally got that chance. And in addition to that, I mean, the stakes were really high. Zeke actually used his scream. Falco transformed. We lost Nile and Pixis. Presumably, we don't see them transform, but they're presumably running around there as Titans. And I mean, Colt died, and of course there's the ending, which I'm a little skeptical about sticking, but still, it was a very nice cliffhanger shot.
And what about you, Nate? What was your chapter impressions?
Well, for a chapter called Brothers Older and Younger, I saw a suspicious lack of Connie and his brother Martin. But I thought I liked this chapter pretty well too. I liked it a bit less than the previous 2 that were set in this battle for reasons that we can get into, but for the most part I thought it was pretty solid, in no small part because the spinal fluid actually did come into play, because I've mentioned this before, I was a bit skeptical that Isayama would actually follow through with that. I thought that might just be something that he sort of writes himself out of, like he comes up with an excuse for why the spinal fluid doesn't work. I thought he'd kind of write himself out of that, so I'm glad that did happen. That's a big thing. Yeah, I thought it was fun. I have probably just 2 big complaints about it, which sort of drag it down a bit for me, which we can get into in depth later.
Can you mention them now a little bit? Like, what was the worst about this chapter for you?
One thing I didn't like was Galliard's death, which we could get into much more in depth when we actually discuss the chapter in depth, but I thought it would have been much better for it to be Reiner who actually did get eaten by Falco. And I like Reiner much more than Galliard, but I think that would have been the perfect end to his character arc for him to actually sacrifice himself to save Falco. And I was disappointed that that didn't happen.
I think a lot of people felt that way.
I mean, looking at the poll results right now, we asked the question, who would you have preferred Falco to eat of the two? And I've been really surprised at how close that is. At this point, it's a 49-51 split. You are by no means alone in feeling, maybe a little dissatisfied with that.
Yay!
What about you, Luna?
I remember when I saw the first leaks, which was like the final couple of panels, and I was doing my little victory dance. But then I saw the rest of the chapter, and I think I spent the whole afternoon crying and feeling numb. It was fun.
Yeah, I think this chapter was the most emotional I've seen you.
Yeah, this one was not a good chapter for me. I don't know, it's also in a good way that I'm so emotionally attached again, because I haven't felt that in a really long time. I felt very disconnected from all the characters. It was just kind of like one thing followed by another big thing, followed by, he just put everything in one chapter. And he just went all out with this one. I have to think back about the interview he did for the SnK final exhibit, where he said he wants to phenomenally hurt his readers.
Oh,
Yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah, well, mission accomplished. Isayama, mission accomplished.
Well, he's been doing that to me for a long time, so it's kind of, I don't want to say, I'm sorry it's happening to you now, but I don't think anyone watching this series is going to be left unscathed.
Well, the thing is, this is such a weird series because you're almost happy when your favorite character dies, because then Isayama cannot hurt you anymore. Like, it's done. Like, who wants their favorite characters to die? What kind of parallel universe is this? What have you done to us, Isayama? I feel like all the depression rates are going up after this chapter. He's a madman. He is a sociopath. I don't know how to feel about him. Like, I love him, but I hate him at the same time. Like, this was a really good chapter, even though, the first day I read it, I felt a little emotional about it. It's, in hindsight, a very, very good chapter, even though there were some inconsistencies, more so than we've ever seen before. Yeah, for me, when I first saw it, I thought this is going to be the chapter that everyone will talk about when the series has ended. Like, I felt like this was a very defining chapter. I don't know if you guys felt the same way, but
I think there was a lot of upping the stakes in this one.
Yeah.
I think I may disagree a little bit about Isayama hurting people, because I think he could have had the potential to be a lot worse, and there was a period of time where surprisingly nobody died. And you're like, I thought he was going to kill people, but he doesn't have the heart to kill people. So when he actually did the scream and people died in this chapter, like, wow, we've got a lot of people taken out.
He did it.
Yeah, it's funny. This is a series where people complain when nobody dies, which I mean, deaths don't make a series better, but there are times when the stakes don't feel quite as high, because, like with Eren right now,
Exactly.
I don't think anyone's sweating Eren
No.
being dead. The stakes are just not high.
Yeah.
I mean, I find it impossible to feel any worry or sympathy towards him.
And that is
at
my
this moment.
second big complaint of this chapter, is that cliffhanger.
yeah.
Because we all know that Eren's going to make it out of that.
Yeah, we just don't know how, but no one expects him to actually be dead.
When we were talking yesterday, I wanted you guys to bring up on the wiki page with Eren's status. Can you tell me the conversation that went down there?
I can tell you the conversation on my end. For anyone who hasn't visited the wiki who's listening, his status on the wiki right now is unknown, not deceased, despite the fact that he's been decapitated. because we've seen Reiner get decapitated twice. We've seen Armin get burned alive and survive. We've seen many different things in this series, and I remember I think we were having discussion about his status before it was time to start editing the wiki, before we actually got the edits going. And when they brought up changing his status to unknown for the month, I told everyone, you guys can change his status if you want. You can also update like all the different like information about him all over the wiki to change his status to unknown if you want. I'm not going to, because we're just changing him back to alive in a month.
Yeah, basically. It felt like it was done for shock value.
That was a very nicely illustrated shot.
Oh, it was hilarious. Especially because Gabi's the one who did it, and I know that's going to make people so mad.
That's the reason why I loved it, and I was doing that victory dance when it happened. I don't know. Have you seen anyone react to the chapter? Any live reactions to that moment?
No, I haven't.
I would recommend watching Roger's base react to that moment. He is like screaming in his pillow, hyperventilating, like crying. It's the best.
God.
I think Andrew All-Stars during his live reaction, he was crying at one point. I don't think about
I was
Eren. By the
drinking
time-
something when I saw that, and I spilled it all over myself.
This is why Luna and I don't do live reactions. It's so much better to process this. I mean, it's
So
in my chapter impressions. I mean, I also thought it was a great chapter, but I just have this overarching voice in my head. Why has it come to this? You know, they were in the airship together. They could have touched. They were sitting next to each other. Why has it had to come to this point? What in the world is Eren Yeager thinking?
You know,
and
that's-
I just can't. It just drives me up the wall. Like to watch all my favorite characters once again dying because somebody can't share his plan with his friends and work out a better solution. Like, I just don't know why it had to be this way.
I've sort of had the same question too, because when you go back to that airship, there's a panel where he and Zeke are literally sitting right next to each other.
Side by side. Hello.
And I don't understand. One, I don't understand why anyone in the Survey Corps would have thought it'd be a good idea to put them in the same room, for one. And two, I don't know why Eren and Zeke didn't take advantage of that at all.
If they had taken off as soon as that ship landed, nobody could have stopped them. Nobody. I mean, if they had decided, you know, sayonara, guys, been fun, thanks for the ride, nothing would have stopped them.
I guess it was a timing thing.
I mean, I figure Shiganshina had to be evacuated.
Yeah.
For whatever they want to have happen, they needed Shiganshina. And maybe they needed time for the enemy forces to arrive, but I don't think so. Because they're both surprised the enemy is there.
Right, and Eren, in one of those flashbacks about with them first meeting the anti-Marleyan volunteers, Eren even mentions that he wants to make it so that Marley won't be able to attack them again for a long time. Like he wants...
Yeah.
His attack on Liberia was to keep them from attacking, and all it did was speed up the attack, so I don't know what's going on there.
Yeah, because that's why Armin attacked the port, right? So to make sure that they couldn't cross over in any way, shape, or form to Paradise.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I may be misremembering, but I definitely remember the dialogue where he said that he wanted, in one of the flashbacks, that he wanted to keep Marley from being able to attack them soon, which didn't work at all, Eren. Great planning.
Yeah, and when Marley does finally show up, he realizes, oh, this must be because of Reiner, because otherwise they wouldn't have done it.
Yeah, Eren looked angry that they were there at that point in time. So I just, there had better...
I mean, they have mentioned it, right? Like that's why Zeke was throwing that ball with Eren, or gave him like the glove and the baseball. Because like, we cannot touch right now, he said. They have a reason why they don't want to touch. Well, until now then, but I don't know what it is.
It all better be explained. It better blow my mind. Okay.
But I don't know. I don't know about that.
All my old men are dead now, and it's their fault, and there better be a darn good reason why. That's all I can say.
Also, since we brought up the subject of Eren surviving a minute ago, right now the wiki's poll for chapter 119 is, how will it be revealed that Eren is still alive? Because we're calling Isayama's bluff.
Yeah. And what's the result so far?
So far, the one with the option with the most votes is his death is just an altered memory he's creating with the founding Titan.
Did you have an option that he's permanently dead? Was that a choice that you gave people?
It is. It's second from bottom, though. He's really dead.
It's got 6% of the votes.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, with the same question, more or less, we had which expected yet unexpected twist Isayama is going to use to keep Eren alive. And the most votes, with 24.6% of the votes at this moment, is his consciousness will be transferred throughout his body, just like Reiner did when his head got blown off. So
That's our second most voted option on our poll.
Our second option is that Bucket Girl will give him a hand.
Ah.
Yeah, we don't have Bucket Girl on ours.
We have 5% that think he's permanently dead. So it's nice that between our two platforms that
that adds up. That's the same amount of people who think he's dead. Yeah.
You know what? I think on the where we have the question, where do you primarily discuss the series? We should add the wiki to that, because I didn't even realize it was like a bustling place of discussion going on. So we'll have to make sure we include that one now.
My favorite option is still splitting it into two people, regenerating from both head and body.
That would be pretty awesome. He's like a Titan flatworm.
Oh my goodness.
The wiki's least popular option on the poll right now is the founding Titan can survive being decapitated.
I don't think we had a similar option to that.
Our least is the splitting into two people,
Yeah.
though. Only, well, understandably, 1.5% have selected that as an option.
Yeah, we do have like bad shenanigans of another sort will lead him to being all right. That got 17% of the votes, so.
We had an option, psych, his head was never blown off. You know, like he was mucking with memories. That one only got 13.5.
That might have something to do with the, I don't know, the manifesto Reiner wrote on Reddit. Because most of the votes are from Reddit this month. And Reiner was not very convinced about this theory. And he basically was like, if you believe this, you're an idiot. And I'm going to explain this in 10 easy steps.
Yeah, he was on fire this month.
Yeah.
I don't think he'll listen. If he does, he'll let me know. I'm really glad he's not our guest this month. It would have been disaster.
Yeah. And he's not very nice about it either if he disagrees with you. So I felt personally attacked, and I didn't even think that. But
well, speaking about polling, our friend Reiku Kaja, who's a regular podcast guest, does I don't think she does it monthly, but she does a periodic character ranking poll.
Yeah, I think she used to do it every volume, and now it's like after every 2 chapters.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you guys are probably not aware of this, being that you're wiki people and you live on Wiki Island. But as many times as she has done this character ranking, Porco Galliard has come in last place, below Floch, below Zeke.
Oof.
Yes.
Yeah.
Below every active character. She's done this over and over and over, and he is always dead last. So I cannot tell you how excited I am that in this month's chapter poll, we asked for MVP, and it was Porco Galliard. So finally, he got his little chance to shine.
Well, to be fair, with a name like Porco, no one's going to like you.
I like him. I liked him. I have to say this in past tense now. I liked him.
Yeah, but you also thought that Porco was a common German name. So did you guys also see his alternative name at the SnK final exhibit?
Yes, and I like it so much more than what we got.
Really? Why?
Just because Porco just makes me think of Porky Pig.
Well, yeah, it means pig, so.
Yeah, I know it does. That's what it sounds so ridiculous, and I like horse better.
Okay. Shall I give you a little bit of information that horse in German kind of also means idiot or fool?
It doesn't sound like idiot though.
Because you're not German.
So you're basically saying Isayama has poor taste in names for this poor guy.
Yeah. I feel so bad. Like, Marcel got a normal name. I always joke that, like, Marcel was the golden child, and then Porco was, like, the black sheep of the family.
These final 2 arcs have had some really weird names as far as Attack on Titan goes, because you've got Porco, you've got Colt and Falco, you've got Onion Coupon.
Oh, Onion. Okay, Onion Coupon.
Onion Coupon, yeah.
I call him Onion Coupon.
That might help me spell it, because anytime I have to spell it, I have to,
Oh yeah, that's terrible. When I'm writing a wiki article, I'm like, how do I spell his name? If I can just get the first few letters right, then the wiki will autofill the rest for me.
That's nice.
I'm just like, that's just his first name. Like, we don't even know his last name yet. How long is his name going to be once we get those two?
We always get like very creative like names on the poll when we ask for write-ins. So we should make like a long list of all the different ways Onyankopon's name has been spelled.
His name's going to be something like Onyankopon Lebensborn or something.
Well, I think what was so interesting, in fact, one of the most interesting things about the SNK final manga event was seeing what Gabi's name was Lupa.
No, her last name, instead of Braun, it was Lupke. Yeah, Lupke. Yeah.
Pieck was Oliver Pieck. He was the middle-aged man titan, Oliver Pieck.
Yeah.
It's just fascinating to think about what could have been. And, had Editor Kun not gotten involved and said, you know what, maybe we should rethink this. I guess with Porco, maybe he pushed back on Horst, and to get revenge, Isayama decided on Porco. I mean, who knows, right?
Is that true? Like, Porco's final name was because of the editor?
I don't know, but going through the photographs of the exhibit, one of the most interesting things is where the editor has like marked up the storyboards and pushed back on things. So it really helped me to appreciate just how collaborative this manga is with Isayama and his editor.
Mm-hmm.
So I know the editor's responsible for Sasha living as long as she did. I just wonder, if there's ever a tell-all book about Attack on Titan, like how much influence. The editor definitely made it a better story. Like looking at the original storyboards and what we got, he definitely made all the right calls. I wonder, with the naming though, if Isayama was given free reign or how that worked out. It'd be fun to know. It'd be fun to know what's going on behind the scenes.
I'm firmly in, and I know this is going to be unpopular, like with anyone who talks, except maybe Rune Lai. She might be on my side with this, but I'm firmly in the camp of I would have preferred if Isayama got his way and Sasha did die back in Clash of the Titans arc.
I agree with Neat. Hey, that's about when that was like the period when it's like nobody's dying anymore because Tross, a lot of people died. Female Titan arc, people died, and for some reason, right after that, we went through this period where like nobody died.
I thought it made the anime season really weird. They kind of had to like ham fist Sasha into all these scenes that she wasn't in to explain, why she wasn't there, because she was supposed to be dead.
Like it's super apparent in the manga because she just disappears for close to 15 chapters.
Yeah.
And then when she reappears in the Uprising arc, she doesn't really have a lot to do, really. She's just sort of there.
You can kind of tell that it was a character that didn't really have a purpose. I mean, she's fun. She's a fan favorite, but she didn't have a purpose. And it really showed in the later chapters that there was no reason for her to do anything that would affect the plot.
And I have heard all the complaints that she really didn't get the focus till after she was dead.
Yeah.
And then she got too much focus compared to what other characters have gotten. So
yeah, it's also weird because in the anime, she kind of became more of comic relief than really a fully developed character. So it was just weird with her. I still prefer like the episode where she should have died. Like that was top. That was peak Sasha.
I mean, to bring this back to this chapter, I didn't want Porco to die. I love Porco. But if you're going to die in a series, what a way to go, I got an ask on Tumblr. Somebody wrote to me and said that Porco got the most dignified death in the series compared to other relatively important characters like Bert, Erwin, Ymir, Sasha, Kenny, maybe even compared to all characters. I mean, how many characters get to go out gloating with a smile and get to choose how they die? I mean, if there's anything to take from this, and even I would say, I mean, Sasha's death was great, but how much greater would it have been when it mattered? When she goes out being a total and complete badass.
Oh, yeah.
Porco got the most badass death.
Yeah, that would have been good. I've told people, like, I don't mind my favorite characters dying. I just want them to have a good death.
Me too. Like, make it meaningful. Give them control over the situation. Let them die knowing they accomplished something. Porco got every bit of that. While he's a character I wanted more from, I am just so grateful I mean, what a way to go. And I think that's why finally, after him being in this manga now for 20, 30 chapters, people started to appreciate him a little bit. I mean, when he got this month's characters MVP, I was delighted.
29, yeah.
Yeah.
29th chapter since he first appeared.
Yeah. You guys also did a poll, right? On like the best brother or something of this chapter, or what did you say on Twitter?
Yeah, I think on Twitter we did ask that. The on the wiki itself, we only do one poll per chapter, and
okay.
And it's a one-question poll, correct?
Yeah, one question poll with a bunch of answers. And now that I think about it, best brother would have been a good poll for it, but I was more focused on calling Isayama's bluff with the Eren thing.
Now, you guys are not responsible for the Twitter account, though. There's someone else in that role.
Yeah, that's Salamander on Discord. He does probably like 98% of our social media.
Okay.
I think Manuel also can access the social media accounts to post stuff.
Yeah, he can. But I think Salamander does most of it.
Yeah,
Let's be wrong. Manuel can totally like interrupt at some point later and say like, "You're wrong."
Well, it's his fault for not being here. He was invited, so.
But I remember reading a lot of the comments at that thread, and a lot of people were like, "Yeah, Porco." So there was a lot of, just a lot of good feels about Porco this chapter, which I did not expect, considering I knew how unpopular he was before this one.
So let me ask you guys a question. One thing that has been a topic on the social media platforms that we hang out on, what his relationship with Reiner was like. What do you think? Do you guys think that he stayed just as salty and spiteful to Reiner as ever? Or do you think that after seeing the memories that Porco let that negativity go? I mean, his comment to Reiner at the end was sassy, no doubt. We're proven once and for all, I'm better than you. But do you see their relationship as being contentious?
That's interesting, because they haven't really interacted at all since the Marley arc. Like, we haven't really gotten a good sense of how they feel about each other, but I think if Galliard and Reiner had survived this battle, Galliard would probably still be fairly antagonistic with Reiner, because really there's not a whole lot in the memories that would have changed his opinion of Reiner so much as like all he really knows now is that Reiner just got his place among the warriors because his brother really cared about him, not because Reiner cared about him or anything. So I don't think it would have necessarily changed how Galliard looked at Reiner.
What do you think, Rune?
I don't think that Porco's relationship to Reiner changed. He basically got confirmation of what he suspected all along, that he was actually better than Reiner. And now that he's seen his memories from his brother, that became proof. It's what he knew all along, and so all of his doubts went away. He knew he was a better man.
And I guess at that point, it made it easy for him to make the sacrifice.
I mean, that's the same thing that his brother did. Is what the better man does. As you protect somebody, and he went along with that. And it's obviously what his older brother would have done in his place, and actually did to protect Reiner.
So you don't think it had anything to do with his feelings towards Reiner or Falco, but more about doing the right thing?
I mean, I think it was nice to save Falco, but Porco and Falco never really interacted. So I think it really was more to do the right thing, because as this is what the better man does.
I think I disagree a little bit, because I have to think about like the battle that took place in Liberio, where Reiner saved Porco, and I think this was kind of Porco's way of repaying the debt, because Falco would have been fine, right? Like whether he ate Reiner or Porco, he would have become a shifter, which is better than being a mindless titan, at least. So the only reason that Porco could have done it was to prevent Reiner from dying, and he knew Reiner had a stronger connection, I guess, to Falco than he did. And he also followed in his brother's footsteps, so I think it all came full circle.
Oh, when I said protecting, I didn't mean exclusively Falco. I mean protecting Reiner from himself was part of the protection.
Yeah, okay.
Because Reiner is also weaker.
Their first introduction, of course, is what, chapter 91 or 92, where Reiner's having the nightmare and Porco doesn't bother to wake him up. And the first thing that Reiner says is Reiner thanks him for saving him. So it's interesting that kind of first introduction, last introduction is Porco saving Reiner.
Chapter 93, I believe.
I figured you guys could come up with that pretty quickly.
It's 93 because 91 and 92 was the battle.
Okay.
And then afterwards, he woke up.
I've
It's
got the
93.
wiki open in front of me, so I can check this stuff.
Nice.
Liberio's my jam, so like I know this stuff too. But you can verify it. It's the one where he's like passively aggressively eating that sandwich.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to miss him. When the Marley characters were first introduced, I'm one of those that like every month waited for them to be over, get back to my characters. But it's a testament to Isayama how much they've grown on me. And I don't want any of them to die, you know? I certainly didn't want Porco to go this time. I love how Nate calls him Galliard. He won't even say Porco.
That is totally Neetaku's strongest push.
Partly because, like, again, Porco just sounds so ridiculous to me. But also, the wiki, for the most part, operates on the wiki, we refer to characters in articles and stuff by whichever name they're referred to as in the manga. And Galliard, Porco, whatever, he's mostly been referred to by characters by his last name. Like, I think Pieck and Marcel are the only ones who have consistently referred to him as anything other than Galliard.
Okay. Huh.
Yeah, except for Reiner this chapter. He finally called him Porco.
That's true. Right before he died.
Just like when the kids called out to Reiner, they stopped calling him like Braun. Or well, at least Falco stopped calling him that and also screamed, Reiner! And I also like he was just very like, I don't know, dismissive of Reiner because he always felt he was the better candidate and he didn't understand. And then he got left behind and his brother died. And, you know, I think he had a lot of like unresolved issues with that. And I thought they would talk it out someday. But I guess, you know, this was also a good way to settle matters in that regard.
It makes a lot of sense because he, by all accounts, did deserve to be a warrior instead of Reiner. And whether, I don't remember if Galliard knew or not, but he definitely thought that Reiner was the reason Marcel died.
Yeah. And he didn't know that why Reiner got the armored over him. So there was always that grudge there. And now he finally got it and everything fell into place. And he knew that he couldn't blame Reiner anymore for what happened.
I wonder too, though, Reiner tried so hard to keep that information from him. You know, Reiner protected that secret. And I in the poll, in the inconsistencies section, I added the one about the daisy chain memory inheritance. Porco got memories from touching Reiner, who was touching Eren. To me, we've never seen that before. Memory inheritance has always been like, or the ability to pass memories has always been, you know, there's a royal involved. There's Historia, there's Rod Reese, there's a Fritz family member. And this was very strange to me that Porco got the memories this way. Like if I was on the Wiki team and I had to write anything about Titans and their ability to transfer memories, it's just, there's no consistency there. So
what's that you say? The Titan powers have poorly defined rules that are hard to follow?
Have you noticed that as well?
I don't tend to write the Titan power pages a lot. That's not my focus, but I imagine it's a nightmare because Isayama just won't lay out the rules for like Titan powers. Like they're changing every other chapter, it feels like.
It's very convenient for him, I imagine, as a creator, because if he needs something to happen, then he can just slip in and it's like, oh, this is something that nobody really knows about, because nobody, even on the Marleyan side, fully understands how Titan powers work.
It's literally become a meme that like people are just like, hey, I found this plot consistency. I don't know. I guess Paths explains it.
Well, it's funny with the memory inheritance thing. Porco has been the one that he's used it, I would say, most egregiously. No other character has been able to remember their past, except for Eren, of course, but he's the founding Titan, so that's okay. But Porco was able to get full memories. He was able to see Ymir and, the entire 104th. I mean, he had like motion picture memories of what went on. And of course, now he gets this funky thing, this daisy chain inheritance through touching, third hand Eren Yeager. So I don't expect it will ever be explained. It bothered me because I do like things to make sense, but I don't know. I mean, if that gave Porco the closure he needed to march into his death with a smirk, then fine. But it's one of those hand wavy things that Isayama does. I think Rune's right. It's just a convenience for him. He can just kind of, plop this in whenever he needs it to save having to write 4 more chapters of exposition.
I think it's not so much to save himself from writing exposition. It's to just give himself an out whenever he wants to, like, whenever he needs something to happen in the plot. Like, let's say in the extremely unlikely event that Eren actually survives, because we know Isayama's so great about not killing off characters like that. Like, if he decides, like, slim chance, but if he decides to keep Eren alive next chapter, he can just make up some sort of new Titan ability to do that.
Yeah, that's what I'm guessing. I would not be surprised if that's what's going to happen.
My theory is it's going to be revealed that the founding Titan can only be killed by being eaten by another Titan or by Ymir's curse. Like, they can't die any other way.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, maybe so.
That's sort of my theory.
It could work because the founding Titan is only supposed to be usable by a royal. So if it went through the usual rebirth process, the chance of it randomly arriving in a royal as child is not that high. I mean, probably would end up with someone who couldn't use it.
Wow, that's actually a really good theory. Never mind the fact that there's a fake royal pregnancy happening right now.
So there's one more thing I want to discuss about Porco's death, and the best way to do that, I guess, is to mention this anon we got on Tumblr. So they ask for the podcast, looking at the panels where Falco eats Porco. When he chomped down, he got Porco's legs. Do you think Falco successfully gained the Jaw Titan power, or did he end up unfortunate like Santa with Eren? What do you guys think?
The wiki just decided we're not going to overthink it, and we're just going to put Falco as the Jaw Titan. I personally think it's just drawn that way. I think Falco probably did get it. I think it would be weird for it to be revealed that Galliard's just chilling inside him.
Well, Eren was chilling inside of the Santa Titan.
Yeah, but Eren's the main character.
Yeah, the thing is, they're just supposed to get the spinal fluid, even though we see his legs sticking out. Most of him is inside Falco, and if he's still alive for a bit longer, he'll be dead eventually. He'd be in the stomach, so I think that would count as digesting the spinal fluid.
Yeah, so the fluid that's in the stomach, is that like acidic, or is it just would it waste his body away, or do we have to wait for Porco to die and then like waste away so that
My understanding.
Yeah.
My understanding, and I don't remember, maybe it was in Before the Fall, or was it in the main series, where Titans do not digest. They vomit up humans whole. So if Falco is chillin', whatever, if we stay consistent here, he would not digest. He would be vomited up whole, and the spinal fluid would still be inside of him, right?
Well, this is a very inconsistent chapter.
Yeah. It would undo so much. Like, Porco had such a great death, and thematically it works. And, to like next chapter then reveal like, oh no, this was not what happened. I wouldn't be pleased about it. It would feel
I can see why people are asking the question though, right? Because it is an inconsistency. And it's interesting too, like we think about how Isayama used to draw deaths so graphically. I mean, we saw Carla's body being snapped. We saw Mike Burt. I mean, we saw the deaths kind of like in horrific detail.
Yeah.
He kind of backed off on that. Like Keith shot us his beating. We didn't see the actual beating. We saw the aftermath. Now with Falco's death, we see legs dangling. We don't see him actually being bitten in two. So I mean, is it important, or is it just he's doing us a solid by not making it worse than it is? I don't know.
I think that's how he has gotten softer since he's gotten married. The gore has turned down significantly. He's just hurting us more, mentally.
Yeah, I thought that scene was really abrupt because we see Porco, so we see Falco rush him, and the next thing we see is mouth closed, legs in the air, and I was almost like, how did he get there so fast? I feel like I missed a frame somewhere.
Yeah, but that's how the whole chapter felt to me.
So I went back and looked at this really closely, and it does seem that Falco's Titan saw Porco and just made a beeline for him. Because at one point we do see Reiner's hand reaching out to try to catch Falco's Titan to keep him from going after Falco. Wait, Porco's Titan to keep him from going after Falco. I'm going to get this right. Anyway, it does look like, speaking of consistency, we've seen three times, where Titans that are ordered to do something by Zeke don't always do what they're being told. So this was a situation too where he was given a direct command, and for whatever reason, just, it was abrupt. And I think Isayama tried to draw it as being an abrupt decision by this mindless Titan. But yeah, I had to go back and look really closely to see if I was reading that right.
Yeah, it's kind of weird that he was so focused on Reiner, then all of a sudden, boom, he just sprints over to Porco.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't get it. I don't understand what happened there.
I mean, maybe Falco will also sacrifice himself later. So he was like, yeah, I meant to inherit a Jaw Titan. I'm not going to spend my next 13 years being depressed with plot armor.
Maybe he just saw a human and was like, ooh, snack. Got distracted.
That is one of the big problems I had with it, that Falco just went for Galliard out of nowhere when he already had Reiner.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I wonder if when we finally get the anime of this arc, if they will change that a little bit. It seems so close now. Are you guys also thinking about that? Seeing this in the anime? Because I remember when we were still in season 2 and the Marley arc seemed so far away. But now it's it's next year already.
I'm glad they're not taking as long, because I remember the gap between season 1 and season 2 was incredible.
Yeah.
I could not talk to my anime-only friends about what was going on while they were watching season 2. They're like, what's going on in the manga right now? And I'm like, I can't tell you, because we were in the middle of the Marley arc and everything was so different.
For 4 years, that's pretty rough, I guess. You cannot talk to your friends about something you really like.
We do ask the question in our poll about whether or not the Jaw Titan are always destined to sacrifice themselves, because we do have this pattern now of each of the Jaw Titans, Marcel, Ymir, Porco, doing some grand heroic gesture in behalf of someone else. I wonder if there is a reason why Falco immediately went for the Jaw Titan. I wonder if there's any explanation that could be found there. It seems like it would take a lot of explaining. I can't imagine Isayama would do that. But if I had to write a crack theory on why Falco's mindless Titan did what he did, I would try to work that in as a possible option.
Yeah, I think that makes a good crack theory. I don't think it's anything that Isayama planned. It just happened that the characters who have the Jaw Titan ended up sacrificing themselves. But as crack theories go, that's a good one.
I like the results for this question as well, by the way, because we've had 50-50 splits before in the poll, but I don't think we've ever had a 3-way split. So we have 3 options to the question, is the Jaw Titan's owner always destined to sacrifice him or herself? The options were yes, but only for the plot armor Titan shifter. Yes, the Jaw Titan shifter is always selflessly sacrificing themselves. Or no, Marcel, Porco, and Ymir only did what they did out of guilt and personal debt to Reiner. And they are almost a 3-way split, but the last option is the one with the most votes, followed by yes, the Jaw Titan shifter always sacrifices themselves. And then the last one is yes, but only for the plot armor Titan.
It is interesting that Reiner's been a factor in every single one of those, though.
Yeah.
I mean, it's more than, once, what is the expression? Like 3 times is more than a...
Yeah, so once is like a coincidence, 2 is like a questionable, and 3 is like...
And 3 is Reiner.
That's why he's the plot armor titan.
Yeah.
Have we ever seen a character try so hard and fail to kill themselves? Like, I
have never ever seen a character curse with plot armor before, let alone this badly.
We've had discussions on wiki editing whether we have a section on each of the character wiki pages on like attempts at killing other characters, and discussions on whether or not we should include Reiner trying to kill himself on his own page.
Please do.
Wait, have we had that discussion?
It's been in the wiki editing channel. Someone said, like, can we include Reiner after chapter 119 because he tried dying to Falco and failed?
How did I miss that? We totally need to do that. Reiner's tried to kill himself more than anyone else.
That's true. You should include it. Please do. And if you do it before we put up the podcast, we'll leave a link to it.
Now, the wiki channel where you all discuss this stuff it's public. We can read the conversation. We just can't participate. Is that right? Or do you guys have like ultra secret wiki channels that we can't see?
We have a wiki editing channel on our official Discord, and anyone with permission, anyone can request permission to have access to the wiki channel. So not everyone sees it. Not everyone on our Discord is interested in editing the wiki, but anyone who wants to can look at it.
Good to know. Yeah, we'll also leave a link to the Attack on Titan wiki Discord if you're not in there yet. And I think everyone is probably in there because holy hell, it's big. But
so going back to Reiner about his attempts at ending his life and failing, Kingsgrave asked us on Twitter, and I've seen this conversation elsewhere on Tumblr and other places, people just kind of casually mentioning that Reiner would agree with Zeke's plan. What do you guys think? Would Reiner agree with Zeke's plan? I think there's a big difference between wanting to kill yourself and wanting to kill your entire race.
No, because Zeke's plan is specifically to euthanize without killing. Reiner wants to die. He's not going to agree to a plan that has him live. Reiner would be listening to the plan, like nodding along, like, yeah, yeah. Wait, we live? No.
Well, I mean, more like if Reiner had heard this plan, would Reiner think it's a good idea to end all Eldian life? I think Reiner's hit the point where not just he needs to die, but he wishes no one had ever been born.
No, I don't get that feeling from him.
Yeah, looking at Reiner, he cares about the warrior candidates so much, like the kids and stuff. I think Reiner's totally like a dad sort of character. He would want to look out for the next generation.
Yeah, I agree with that too. When I see those theories, that Reiner would be on board with what Zeke is planning, I think that's a hard no from me.
Reiner would be like, Zeke, listen, you're not getting this. I just want to kill myself. Okay? I don't want to kill anyone else. I want to kill myself.
Technically, they wouldn't be killing anyone. They were just preventing new people from being born.
Zeke, that's even worse.
Look at how much killing Zeke is having to do to get to the point that people cannot die. Like, how is this? Where is the logic? He's killed hundreds and hundreds of people.
I know.
To stop people from being born? I mean, I need this to all make sense someday. That's all I'm saying.
Good luck. We have a year. maybe longer. Let's see. Oh yeah, there was one question that I wanted to ask as well, because we talked about the Jaw Titans owner always sacrificing themselves. Do you think Falco will end up sacrificing himself, and then for who, if you think he will?
If he does, it would probably be for Gabi.
Yeah, that's what I thought at first. Well, like, he's always been out to protect her, and she's also a Braun, so wouldn't it be funny if, like, Reiner is trying to protect Falco all this time, and in the end, Falco would also sacrifice himself for Reiner?
That would be terrible.
Horrible, but...
You know what? Okay, crack theory. You know how the Ackermans were always loyal to the crown? Maybe the Jaw Titan was always loyal to the Browns because, now we see Falco with his complete loyalty to Gabi. Maybe there's something there about the Jaw. We
Right.
really do need another crack theories week.
Yeah.
Actually,
Yeah,
gosh, how hilarious would that be if Falco actually did sacrifice himself to save Reiner's life?
I think Reiner would kill himself immediately.
Yeah, that would push him over the edge, probably.
He would try.
I think that might be like what finally would make him succeed. Maybe.
The only reason that Reiner did not shoot himself in the mouth is because he heard Falco. So if Falco sacrifices him for Reiner, I think Reiner's just going off the deep end.
Also, I like that Reiner survived getting his head blown off in Return to Shiganshina, and his reaction is, shooting myself in the head will definitely be what does the trick.
Well, that's true.
Explained in canon, though. Like, you need a strong will to live to generate. So, and he didn't have that anymore. So, and he did have that in Return to Shiganshina.
That's true. Okay, that's a little hand wavy, but I'll let it pass.
Listen, when it comes to Reiner, I know my
a lot about this man. You are the Reiner Wiki.
It's the only thing that I'm good at.
Speaking of sacrifices, one that was equally tragic, but maybe not so necessary. Let's talk about Colt's sacrifice for Falco. Like, in my mind, the last thing Falco needed was his brother to unnecessarily die for him. This is bad. I just feel like Colt made the situation worse. And it's perfectly understandable, right? But the last thing Falco wanted was to burn his brother alive while he transformed.
My immediate reaction was just, good for you, Colt. You've done something 3 chapters in a row now. That's a new record.
Yeah.
You're almost a real character now.
Aww.
Yeah. I thought it was touching, but it was unnecessary, and I don't think Colt had quite developed enough beyond just being a protective older brother character for the sacrifice to have meaning. I mean, I liked it. I thought the scene where he's holding Falco as he's about to transform was beautifully drawn. But it's just, it could have had the potential to be more, but Colt hadn't been developed enough to give us a stronger emotional impact.
Yeah, I felt more trauma for Falco. Now, Falco has this in addition to everything else to live with. And it was just, again, so unnecessary.
Oh, it's kind of my favorite part of the chapter. This is the part that made me cry, and I really enjoy Colt. And I think for me, he's now Reiner's my favorite, Falco's my second favorite, and now Colt is my third favorite character. And
Wow.
Yeah, so this chapter kind of bumped him up there, and I can really see he's this big protective older brother where, he saved Gabi from being trampled, and he wanted to save Udo and he couldn't, and all he had was Falco, and all he wanted ever, why he wanted to become the Beast Titan, was to protect him, and he couldn't, so he just did what he felt was right in the moment and was there for his brother in the only way he knew how.
I think that it was a beautiful moment, but it couldn't have been more than it was. And we do something on the wiki called, for each chapter, we have featured article and featured image, and it didn't win, but both Neetaku and I had voted for the image of Colt holding Falco right when he's about to transform, because it was a powerful scene. I thought it was the best scene of the chapter. I just wanted more.
Okay, at least you agree with me on that. That it was the best.
No, it was definitely the heart of it, and but in a chapter with just so much death, I don't know. I mean, I understand and admire Colt for what he did. I just think it's a trauma that Falco didn't need. And Falco was so desperate to get away from him the entire time. That's what's as painful, watching Colt's heartbreak and his disillusionment and everything just falling apart. But even more heartbreaking is watching Falco not wanting this to happen, wanting his brother far, far away. And it just made everything so much more tragic. It was such a pain amplifier to see Falco trying to fight his brother off at the last minute.
That's true.
Add Colt to the list of characters who are better at suicide than Reiner.
Ah.
Poor
This is going to
Reiner.
be a running gag throughout the entire podcast now.
I sure hope so.
I think a good question to ask, maybe for Reiku's poll, is if you're like the eldest, the middle, or the youngest child, because I'm the eldest of 3. Maybe that's why Colt resonated more with me.
Oh, I was hoping you were going to say the poll should be who's the best at suicide.
We can maybe ask that next chapter in the 120 chapter poll.
That is a good idea for Reiku, though, when she does the poll, to ask what your personal birth order is to see if there's any correlation in that moment.
She always does these fun stuff with
Yeah.
correlation. So, like your favorite color or your favorite Pokemon. So, I think this would be a good one as well.
When I read the chapter, it got me. Like that, the panel that you all were talking about, that to me is the face of this chapter. But it's only after reading the chapter several times, thinking about it, I don't know. It just, why? We all knew Zeke wasn't going to budge. Like, what an unnecessary, understandable, but unnecessary sacrifice.
Yeah.
And now Falco, the character that I do really love, has to pay for his brother's emotional state.
I read some people who were upset with Colt. They were like, you should have just yeeted Falco over to Zeke and have him eat Zeke instead of like, having him be a mindless titan and you being burned to ashes by his transformation.
Can't Zeke control the titans he creates?
Well, you'd think,
He can, but he was kind of... Yeah, he immediately ordered Falco to kill Reiner, right? So,
and we see how well that went.
I mean, yeeting Falco over to Zeke probably wouldn't do anything.
Yeah, maybe not, but maybe they could have tried holding Zeke down somehow, and I don't know. He could have tried, maybe. That was the complaint, at least. He didn't try.
I thought you were going to say he should have just yeeted Falco over to Gabi.
No!
I'm sure there are a lot of people that would have liked that.
I'm sure. Oh, no. You are awful people, by the way, just so you know.
Now we know the commonality of all people.
That's true. Do you, by the way, think he is capable of pulling an Armin? If someone has some spinal fluid laying around?
I legitimately posted in the Wiki editing channel like a picture of Colt and just said, if Armin can survive, so can he.
And he didn't even fall down 50 meters on a rooftop.
Exactly.
So, I still want him to eat Zeke. I would love for him to eat Zeke. Please eat Zeke. I mean, Isayama would be able to hurt me because Colt would live and I would die a little bit more every chapter. But yeah, I'm holding out hope. But on the other hand, it was such a good death as well. I don't know how to feel.
I think you need to accept that Colt is gone.
Did you accept?
Accepted that Erwin was gone when Erwin was pronounced dead by Hanji. So
yeah, so
all right.
Don't come for me unless I send for you.
I'm just imagining Colt just yeeting Falco now.
The problem is Colt's a lover, not a badass. If Colt had been a badass, he would have yeeted Falco. That would have been the coolest.
Yeah, true.
But like Porco would have yeeted Falco.
Yeah.
Porco would have. That's the difference between the characters.
By the way, Falco's Titan form. What was your first reaction when you saw that thing?
Yeah, it looked I thought it looked kind of like a chicken.
Exactly.
I was just like, dude, why does Isayama hate Falco?
This clearly to me was an attempt at humor. I mean, it is the funniest looking thing ever. I don't know. It didn't bother me. Like, I don't think it pulled me out of the moment. It was just horrifying. But looking back now, now that we've had some days to settle, I do think it was an attempt at humor. And also just, he's probably running out of the number of times he can draw new Titan forms. And this has got to be like, as an artist, like the highlight of his day to get to design a new Titan form. So maybe he's running out of like regular run-of-the-mill mindless Titans and is trying to be more creative here at the end.
Yeah, I thought his Titan was kind of weird, but all the Titans look kind of weird, so I just ran with it. It didn't bother me. I just thought like, oh, it looks kind of like a chicken, but we've had other really weird looking so this is just another one.
Well, Rod was the flaming chicken titan, so we can't. Falco can't be the chicken titan. Do you guys think you'll come up with a name for his titan form, or?
There will probably be some fan names, but nothing that'll be on the wiki unless it's referenced in the manga.
Okay.
Yeah, I always thought that like Falco would at least make a cute mindless titan, but it was like the ugliest thing ever with this weird long neck and no chin.
But it's still recognizably him, though, which is what I like.
It didn't pull me out of the moment, but it was like as soon as I saw that after the leaks started coming out, I was like, why? Why design it like that?
God only knows. I don't know. Did you get any like fun nicknames suggested to you for the wiki for that titan, or not yet?
If there have been, I haven't seen any, but I haven't been checking into the Discord too much for the last couple of days.
Have you seen anything, Rune?
No, the thing is, we don't use fan names on the wiki, so unless there's a compelling reason for us to name a type of titan, then we just refer to it as Falco's titan. Like if it was clear that like, if this wasn't Falco and it was like a unique titan that showed up and had a lot of purpose on the plot for some reason, like
the gluttonous titan. That's never been stated in canon, is it?
I think gluttonous we have an unofficial. I think it might have been mentioned somewhere. So I think a better choice would be like Dinah's titan, and her titan was called the Smiling Titan for ages because she was repeatedly used in the story and obviously served a larger purpose, but there was no proper name for it, so we had to have a name for that particular titan. But Falco's titan is tied to his character, so if you go to Falco's page, there's a little tab and a tab that shows his pure titan form, which is this chicken-looking thing. And then in the wiki itself, we just refer to it as his titan.
That's interesting about Dinah's titan form. So now that once it was revealed that the Smiling Titan was Dinah, I'm sure you added that as a major, factor on those pages. But at any point, did you consider renaming that titan?
You mean before the reveal?
Or after the reveal? Once we made the connection that the Smiling Titan was Dinah.
Oh yeah, the page is just named Dinah Fritz now because we know her real name.
So is there still a reference to the Smiling Titan in the wiki?
Not to the name, but the fact that she is that titan, yeah.
Okay. So that page got renamed once it was revealed?
Yes.
Yeah.
Ah, okay.
So we kind of did have a question on the poll for best name for Falco's titan form, and we had a hard time coming up with some. But we did have some suggestions. We had the Big Bird Titan, the Bob's Burgers Titan, the Pac-Man Titan, or the Muppet Waka Waka. And we got a lot of like funny write-ins, like the Canadian Titan,
the N-Cell Titan.
Oh.
Somebody needs to explain Canadian Titan to me.
I think it's from like what is it, Terrence and Phillip from South Park, and also
yeah, okay,
yeah. Let's see. Oh yeah, the Leafy Titan, because what's his face made fun of the guy who does Content Cup. What's his name again? iDubbbz. Yeah, iDubbbz made a Content Cup on Leafy and made fun of his chin, and it was just kind of like a stupid joke. He didn't even mean it, and then took it seriously and started hiding his chin in all his new videos after that. So,
I like it's sad, but the option that says "You guys are mean."
That was my favorite write-in as well.
There's a suggestion on here that says that's just my ex-wife. I like that. That and Incel Titan are my favorites so far. There are like 4 Canadian Titans on here.
Yeah, and that's a truncated list. So when I open up the actual poll results and look at the spreadsheet, I was shocked at how many times the word Canadian showed up. Clearly, I should have added that as an option, but I didn't know about that one. So
somebody needs to build a wall.
And also like Butthead and Beavis references are also there.
Somebody called me out on spelling Pac-Man wrong. Apparently it's hyphenated. I didn't know that. So, oops.
Oops. Sorry, my quality control failed this month.
Everybody by now should know my ability to type a sentence without a typo is not,
Yeah, well, that's why we always check for typos when we're done with the poll. But this one slipped through. Sorry.
Rune, we have to talk to Manuel about making my ex-wife that Titan's name.
I think he'll give you one of his smackdowns.
Was he ever married before, Manuel?
I have no idea.
So, one final thing I guess I want to ask about Colt and Falco, and Colt pleading with Zeke to please not scream while Falco was in range. How do you guys think Zeke felt about Colt and Falco?
I think he felt genuinely sympathetic. When you look at the expressions he's making in the panels in that scene, I mean, there's no reason for Zeke to hide how he's feeling, because no one can see what expressions he's making inside his Titan. And he generally seems sad and bothered by the fact Falco swallowed his fluid. But he's been in this for the long game. He's not going to stop because he feels sorry for them. So I think it was genuine, but it wasn't enough for him to change his mind.
Yeah, I kind of fully agree with that. And I think most of the fandom does it well, because we did ask that question on the poll as well. And 54.6% of all people said he cared a little. So
Lady Moe post on Reddit I thought was really interesting. She mentioned that the first act Zeke did was tell Falco to go eat Reiner, basically to restore his life.
Yeah, well, I think somebody commented on that as well. Like, that was not Zeke's intentions. And she agreed that, it wasn't probably highly likely, but that was still like a side effect, I guess.
Yeah, it's a nice thought.
The thought is nice, but it doesn't fit Zeke's character at all, I think.
Yeah, I read that as, well, Zeke needs Eren to be free, so he's just shot Falco off towards Reiner to interrupt Reiner, and Eren could break free. I mean, it might have been like a side thought, like, and this will help Falco too, but I don't think that was the primary reason.
I don't think so. I think, Falco would have been like, if he succeeded in eating Reiner, he would have transferred back to himself, but he probably would have been, asleep for a while or disoriented, or definitely not capable of using his power anyway. And Eren would be able to touch Zeke without any problem. So I think that was the main reason.
Yeah.
So it's a nice thought, but yeah, I don't think there's much truth in that, unfortunately.
It was nice, though, to see Zeke and Eren being emotional this chapter. You know my feelings about Zeke. He's not a character. I mean, I would yeet him into the sun if I could. But
if there's anyone who still likes him after this chapter, we're going to have to need a word with each other, because yeah, I do not like Zeke. I am finally on board with on the Zeke hate train.
Oh, good. Well, you can come to my inbox and see all the people that love Zeke, because they love sending me messages. They love Zeke, and how wrong I am for wanting to yeet him into the sun.
I'm just letting you know that I am a fan of his.
Oh, good. I like when people disagree. Yay. Tell me how much you love him. No, don't. Don't.
Well,
seriously, don't. No, I mean, go ahead.
I wouldn't say that I love him anymore. This arc has hurt his standing for me a bit, but I still don't hate him. I think he's a fairly interesting character to follow, and I think it's fun following him. I actually told someone recently, we were having a discussion, I think Zeke might be unintentionally one of the funniest characters Isayama has.
Yeah, that's true.
Which is part of the reason I like him. Like, for example, Sasha was intended to be a sort of comedic relief character. I find the humor revolving around Zeke's character much better than just about everything that went on with Sasha besides the potato meme. Like just as an example, that scene where he's being watched by Levi. Levi's just going into him, and Zeke just casually tells him, "You must not be popular with women. Like, you're such a downer." Like, I love that.
I would agree with you. He's very entertaining. You're not.
Yeah.
Now, we've been having some requests in the comments on the YouTube channel of people wanting us to have a Jaegerist on. You're not a Jaegerist, are you?
I am not. I think
Okay.
I'd say Zeke is probably the only character involved with the Jaegerists right now who I like.
How about you, Rune? How do you feel about the two Jaeger brothers?
Well, and Zeke is interesting as a character, but I don't like him. He's more of a character that I suppose you could say I like to hate. I don't
Yes,
agree.
I'm all alone.
I don't agree with what he's doing, and I don't agree with the Jaegerist cause. And I'd like to think Eren doesn't either, but it's really hard to know what he's thinking at the moment.
Mm. So, another month, Jaeger is less.
We'll have to have Puppet back on. I think Puppet's the only Jaegerist I can tolerate being around for any
Well,
amount of time.
next month we're doing our anniversary podcast, and we're inviting a lot of our guests
Oh.
back, and you guys are also welcome if you want.
Okay.
And so we should have a lot of Jaegerists on. So, and you can all fight with each other.
Is Reinen a Jaegerist? He might be.
I think so, probably.
Yeah.
Kind
So
of.
we got Puppet and Reinen. We've had a couple of them on.
I also like a lot of the stuff that's been revealed about Zeke's childhood through flashback, like his relationship with Xaver and his time, like how he was essentially Reiner when he was a kid. Like, he sucked at everything and he sort of just got good through training.
Yeah, I really liked the flashbacks. I thought they fleshed out Zeke's character a lot and made me more sympathetic to him. But it at least for me, it doesn't excuse what he's doing in the present.
Yeah, that's exactly how I feel about him. I
Yes.
felt about him until this chapter. Now I'm done.
Nobody touches Falco.
I don't necessarily support his actions, but I think he's a very compelling character to follow, even if you don't agree with him.
He is kind of interesting, but I don't know how more there is to him at this point. I'm kind of lost interest a little bit in him.
Yeah, I'm sort of the same way, largely due to the fact that, like, every other chapter he appears in, it feels like he's just getting yeeted by Levi, and it's sort of gotten to be like, can we do something new with Zeke? Like, can he win a fight for once?
Well, my problem is that he's a 30-year-old man, practically, with decades of experience beyond that. Like, has nothing in the last 15 years of his life. Has he not seen any good in the world? Like, has nothing touched his heart? To me, it's hard for me to see him as this like 4D chess master, million level brilliant dude who hasn't let go of an idea he got as a kid. Maybe I have a hard time finding him sympathetic because I have a hard time finding him realistic. Like, he's presented as this, kind of arrogant megalomaniac, 4D chess master, and it doesn't jive with me that this is his idea. This is his plan. I don't know. I don't see as him, if he's doing it for compassionate reasons, which is what he says he's doing it for, I don't see him as a compassionate person or as somebody demonstrating any compassion. If he truly was a compassionate person and this was truly his way of demonstrating his compassion, maybe I'd be more sympathetic, but I just see him as being like too emo, angsty, and ragey to buy that line. So that's always been my argument.
I don't think that I don't really see him as a chess master, but I guess I see him more as like he hasn't grown out of being that little kid, which is why he's able to single-mindedly focus on what he wants, and he's just kind of trapped in his childhood.
I mean, he had a rough man in his childhood. Like, I really feel bad for him as a kid.
I wouldn't be surprised if that kind of childhood trauma sort of stunted his mental growth, so he hasn't really matured any.
Well, I know we can't compare suffering, but when I look at like Historia's childhood or Emir's, I don't know.
Well, the thing, yeah, he also had Xavier.
At least Zeke had his grandma willing to read him the cat book. You know, what did Historia have? She had a sister that showed up that loved her, but then yeeted her memories. So Historia was not shown an ounce of kindness until she met Ymir, or until she joined the Survey Corps, or the Trainee Corps, I guess. It's hard for me to be sympathetic when I see other characters who've gone so far beyond that.
But the thing is, the person who did show the most kindness to Zeke was the person who was all on board for the euthanasia plan.
Yeah. That's what I was trying to say. Like, when you have your own parents, you know, indoctrinate you, and then someone comes along who says, no, they're not doing you any favors. But you know what is great? Euthanasia. I mean, like, of course, there are a lot of people who had, like, really bad childhoods as well, but I don't think they had anyone in their lives that tried to manipulate him in a way that Xavier manipulated Zeke. And I know not everybody agrees with me on that, but, you know, that's just my 2 cents on Xavier.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd say Xavier manipulated him, but Zeke definitely looked up to Xavier. He thought of him in a positive light, which is, I think, why he would take on Xavier's mission to prevent Eldians from having children in the future.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I know my judgment on this is, you know, cloudy. So your arguments are good.
I will agree, though, that I think there's a lot of good stuff like buried deep within Zeke's character, but I will agree that Isayama could have done a better job sort of fleshing them out a bit. Zeke is for the most part still like a very mysterious, withdrawn character, so we still haven't gotten like an incredible amount of like insight into his character, so there's still a lot of speculating that goes on as to whether or not like what side he falls on and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it does seem like he genuinely cares about Eren, but I wonder if it's Eren's ability he cares about or actually his brother. I don't know. Like you said, there's still a chance for more emotional development to come there, maybe. Yeah, it'll be interesting. I mean, he's in the story. We're going to have to see what happens to him, I guess. Clearly not my favorite topic. Let's talk about Gabi.
My third favorite Braun.
Oh, who's your first favorite Braun?
Don't say Karina.
Moses.
Huh?
Moses. Have you not heard of Moses?
Oh, Moses Braun, chapter 1. The missing arm, yeah?
The best character? That's a big part of why I came on this podcast, to promote Moses.
Moses. Okay.
The cult of Moses Braun. Was Braun his last name? I do remember him.
I am the head of a movement right now to get Moses more recognition.
So is that how Eren made it over to Liberia? Parted the ocean for him?
Dude, Moses is still out there. All they did was recover his arm. He has been one-handed yeeting titans for 9 years outside Walmaria.
All right, so Keith Shaddis quit the Survey Corps, and that poor mama is still crying somewhere, and all because she thought Moses is dead. And now we know he was out parting the oceans so that Eren could make his way to Marley. Mystery solved.
Yes. He's out there like Tarzan, shirtless, just roided out, muscles all around, one-armed slaying titans and parting the Red Sea to get Eren to Marley. I hope you leave all of this in because I want people to know how great Moses is.
I'll think about it.
It might be an outtake at the end. Are you okay with that?
In the part where I talk about Moses being my favorite Braun. If nothing else, leave that in.
Okay. The entire podcast will just be Moses, nothing else.
Those of us in the wiki had talked about spreading the Church of Moses in our channel. And I was like, oh man, he went for it.
No joke. When Manuel DM'd me about appearing on this podcast since he couldn't, one of the things he tried to use to sell me was he was like, I want you to go on there. I want you to rant like you do in the Discord. And I want... and you can spread the word of Moses. And I was like, I'll go for Moses. He also told me he'd make Moses the icon for our server's Discord, and I'm holding him to it.
Well, I'm glad I could help make your dreams come true.
Oh yeah.
So let's talk about your third favorite Braun,
Yeah.
Gabi. We hear a lot of screaming about her as a character, but the fandom is actually surprisingly chill about her blowing Eren's head off, which I am surprised by. When we asked in the poll about Gabi's involvement in this chapter and what she did, more than 50% said that her actions, while unfortunate, were understandable. Once again, like Gabi's dodging the fandom bullet as well. I know there's a lot of people that really dislike her, but it does seem like the majority are just like, here we go again.
Too bad Eren couldn't dodge her bullet.
I bet Connie's laughing now. So I saw, the Eren server was highly entertaining this month when the first leaks came out. And everyone was going in full denial, like, no, these are fake. Eren's head did not get blown off. Gabi would not do that. And Gabi ain't about that life no more. And Gabi, we saw her not wanting to kill every Paradisian just because they are Paradisians anymore. But the guy who killed two of her best friends, or is responsible for the death of two of her best friends and destroyed her hometown, and she swore to kill him, and he's not been kind of nice ever since. He's kind of been a real a-hole to her. I mean, she did shoot Sasha, but still. I don't blame her for shooting him, so I don't know why people are saying that all character development was undone, or that they should keep that kid away from firearms, because she shines with a firearm. Have you seen how good of a shot she is?
Using so I think in the a lot of complaints I've been hearing is that she never should have been able to shoot that firearm without
that's true.
In terms of her character development, the key word here is she realized that not every Eldian is bad. It's just like Luna said. She realized not everyone is bad, but Eren still committed 9/11 on Liberio. I don't know if that's a faux pas to make that comparison.
Okay,
but that's
so
what
Liberio is now
compared
referred to as Ground Zero from now on.
Like I said, though, in the chapter poll this month, 51%, I don't blame her. It made sense. I mean, Eren had it coming. He had it coming.
Gabi did nothing wrong.
Gabi gang, Gabi gang, Gabi gang.
Rune, save us. Say something sensible, please.
No. Well, I mean, it's just, if you look at it from her perspective, she had the opportunity to take out one of the people responsible for a lot of the recent pain she has experienced. Why wouldn't she take it?
Well, not only that, the person who literally can end all of human life.
And the thing is, she knows that the rumbling is a possibility, and that she was present when people said, these two should not get together. So why shouldn't she stop these two people from getting together?
Plus, Eren is fighting Reiner again.
Her cousin.
I'm sure
Yeah,
and she just saw him damage Porco that much that he couldn't regenerate himself any further. Well, maybe that's debatable whether he couldn't or didn't want to anymore, but still. And her best friend just got titanized, and she had to drag that gun out from Colt's crispy body. So Eren is at the focal point of all of this. So
he should have made better life choices, is what we're saying. And what do you think happens next with Gabi? Any thoughts? Is John or Mikasa going to take her down?
I think Mikasa might. I don't think John will, because we saw earlier that he hesitated when Falco was trying to protect Pieck, so I don't think John has it in him. Mikasa might.
Well, she did hold Gabi, so
that is true.
Eren's probably gonna be okay.
He's fine.
Status unknown.
I mean, we'll see if her Ucker instincts get triggered again, but I don't know.
I do think Jean would shoot her if she was still firing at them. I think that if she's a clear and immediate danger, but if she drops the weapon at this point and wanders off the battlefield, I cannot see anyone going. I mean, we got Connie right there too. She is the person that killed Sasha.
Yeah, but the 104 were also in the jail cell with the Browse family, right? And they were definitely concerned about Mia and Ben.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they, at least for Sasha's family, would want to keep those kids safe and not kill them. I don't know. I just want a bit more, how to put it. I want them to feel a bit more conflicted about this situation rather than Forth.
In regards to what? Their feelings for Eren or towards Gabi? More anger towards Gabi?
Well, to Gabi and Falco and Eren as well. Yeah, like they're just fighting for Eren because, he's part of their group, but maybe they should look at the bigger picture here. Not saying that they should fight against Eren, but, I was hoping for a warrior and 104 alliance, not per se this chapter, but, soon. And Isayama just killed that in one fell swoop.
Mm.
Yeah, I would have liked that. Because then I could have all my favorite characters on the same side.
Right?
I would be behind that. And you've softened the idea of an Eren Reiner alliance as well, Luna.
Oh, this chapter, I don't know. I'm warming up to Eren. I don't know how this happened. I blame Heidi. I already told her. Like, this was your plan all along, right? This is why you let me in the Eren server, even though I don't like Eren. So, yeah. Now, this chapter, Eren, we saw a bit more emotion from him. He looked very concerned this entire chapter. So that got me to thinking, like, there might still be some good in him. He did a lot of messed up things, but I would rather see him turn over a new leaf and indeed go forward in making this world a better place somehow than keep going on the path he's on right now. So yeah, I'm slowly warming up to him again. And part of the reason as well for that was, again, I have to mention the final exhibit. Don't know if you saw this post. It was on Tumblr. It was from your boy Levi. We'll link it below. She was mentioning that in the final exhibit, they really paralleled Eren and Reiner. So they showed the question like, who has lost someone important to them? And then it was the panel of Marcel being eaten versus Carla being eaten, or who has despaired the most. And it's like Eren begging to die in the cave versus Reiner begging Eren to kill him. And there was another question I can't quite remember, but the final one was who will disappear in the end. And it was the flashback of Reiner helping Eren up.
Yeah, that artwork is actually painted on the bricks there. Like that's the focal,
Yeah.
or Reiner lending Eren a hand.
That's where that whole section ended, like with Reiner helping Eren up. And then for me, that implied that they're somehow going to work together in the end and do something good, but they will both perish as well. That's what it seemed to imply to me.
The final exhibit almost seemed like Zeke is not the character to be paying
No.
attention to. It's these two. These are the two that matter.
Which has been like something that has been pushed since the Marley arc, these parallels between Zeke and Eren and Reiner, sorry. So, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case.
In which case, Zeke is expendable and Reiner is not.
Exactly. Yes, which makes me very happy.
I'm fine with that.
Probably doesn't make Reiner happy.
Well,
If he gets to die in the end, he'll be fine.
Yeah, have you kept up with anything from the final exhibit?
I've looked at a couple of things, but I haven't been following it too closely. I mostly wanted to just get surprised by it later on.
Is there like a wiki entry on it, or will there be one?
We usually don't cover events. What will probably happen is, we've added, like, for instance, the early names for, like, Galliard, Eren, and Gabi. We add those as trivia entries to their existing pages, and we just cite where that information came from. So that's probably how we're going to handle most of the things from the final exhibit. There won't be a page for the exhibit itself, but the information that comes from it will be added to the wiki on different pages.
Ah, okay. That's interesting.
so our friend Humble on Twitter sent in a question. Why do you think Gabi shot Eren? She learned from Pieck that the goal is to retake the founding Titan, otherwise the problem persists. Zeke's the one that turned Falco into a Titan, killed Colt, betrayed everyone. Was this narrative brilliance on Isayama's part, or did he want Gabi to be hated? And our friend Kingsgrave added to that. He said, this is a great question, especially because Gabi was present in that conversation in chapter 116, where Eren pointed out that they would be punished speaking of where Eren pointed out that Pieck would not only be punished, but her entire family as well, if she disobeyed a direct order. So what do you guys, I mean, I had forgotten about that. When Pieck is holding the gun to Eren's head, Eren calls her bluff and says, you can't do that. That's not your order. Your order is to consume me, not kill me. What do you guys think about that? Is that another inconsistency here that Gabi shot Eren and not Zeke, or what are your thoughts?
I think it's, hey, she knows, I mean, yes, he probably knows in the back of her mind that shooting Eren is not part of the plan. But she also knows that Eren and Zeke are not supposed to meet. And she doesn't know about the euthanasia, but she does know that the problem that they're worried about is the rumbling. The two of them should not get together, and Eren is a larger moving target. If she shoots Zeke and he's not quite dead, which is his state for most of this chapter, Eren can get up to him and then touch him, and then it's all over. So I think if she's not thinking what happens to her family, if she's just in the moment, shooting Eren is a smarter decision. Eren is the one moving. Eren is the one with the mobility. If she's going to stop them from meeting, Eren's the one to shoot.
And I don't think Magath would agree with that decision. I think if they can't eat him, killing him, I mean, they want to stop the rumbling ultimately.
Yeah, I think if they can obtain the Founding Titan's power, great. If not, at least they will stop Zeke and Eren trying to accomplish whatever they want to accomplish.
What do you think, Neat?
I hadn't really actually thought about this, so this is sort of me going off the seat of my pants on this, but my first impression is she, like we mentioned, Eren's killed a lot of people she's close to, or he's directly responsible for a lot of their deaths, and she's 12, so I could see her just going completely emotional in this moment, especially since she just saw what happened to Colt and Falco. She's just in a super emotional state, and she just goes for the kill rather than for the capture.
Yeah, I think that's my thought as well.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And how would she ever capture him anyway? Like, shooting is her thing, so...
Yeah, she's definitely a good shot.
So I mentioned before that I'm kind of warming up to Eren, and one of the questions we asked on the poll was, do you think Eren had hoped to touch Zeke before he could scream and titanize the military police and Falco? And I'm kind of leaning to, yes, he did not want Zeke to scream, but I don't know why he's still running and trying to touch Zeke then right now. So I'm not really sure how to answer this question myself, but what do you guys think?
I think Eren didn't want Zeke to scream because he actually, that's the first time we see emotion is right after the Beast Titan starts to inhale, and Eren has a look of panic on his face. So I don't think he wanted it to happen because that would be a huge number of casualties for people that he had. I'm guessing he still cares about. No, but I don't. Yeah, again, I don't know why he's still running to Zeke afterwards. It's because he can't stop it anymore unless it's part of his an ongoing deception to keep Zeke thinking that he's on his side.
Well, do you think that he thinks by touching Zeke he can control his Titan?
Well, I suppose he possibly could, because the Founding Titan is supposed, if the power is activated, the Founding Titan is supposed to be able to control other Titans and Eldians. So if Eren gets in contact, I mean, in theory, he could do whatever he wants.
He could have all the mindless Titans stand down. Stop attacking.
Yeah, and not, exactly. So actually, Gabi did a bad thing by shooting him. Maybe.
Yeah. Well, I mean, she doesn't know any of this. She doesn't know what's in here. No,
but it's just fun to speculate.
Yeah, I think from Gabi's point of view, I'm totally not surprised because she doesn't have the full picture.
I do wonder, no good deed goes unpunished in this manga. And Gabi, it does look like Eren's head is flying into Zeke's waiting hand. There's spinal fluid in that head, I would assume. I don't know. I don't understand anatomy well enough to say for certain, but I wonder if this is one of those deeds that's going to go very punished. If, we all know that apparently when they touch, Eren will be the one that gets to say what happens. But what happens if Eren's not capable of thought? What if Zeke is touching the founding titan and his will is the only will that matters? And I kind of see this happening.
So we would get the wall titans as well under control.
I thought you were going to suggest that he drinks Eren's spinal fluid from his open neck wounds.
You never know, right? That could be the next chapter. That head, look at that scene.
Yeah, for a moment, I thought that's what you were going for too. But I'm like, but that doesn't solve anything because then it would have the 104th King's will on it.
I just mean touching. He will be touching. He will be holding that head with that spinal fluid, right? I don't know. I mean, I'm just saying.
I'm just picturing it like him gulping down Eren.
No. Come on, guys. Work with me here. Don't you think there's a chance now that Gabi has done something really horrible and that Zeke is going to be able to control the power in a way that he hasn't before by touching the founding titan? Like, I'd always assumed when they touched that they both would have a power up, but that Eren's power up would be the supreme power up. But if Eren's not capable of thought and Zeke gets a power up, this could be awful.
I mean, it would be a very Isayama thing to do, and he is planning on ending the manga in a year's time, so that would certainly speed things along.
Well, we know Eren's not dead, so...
Right, but he doesn't have to be dead for this to happen. Zeke is going to have that power until something happens. I mean, he's going to have that. I just, that head is flying right for his hand. That can't be accidental, you know? We've already seen the memes with the baseball glove.
I wouldn't rule it out, but my gut feeling is he's not going to be able to use Eren's head like that.
I'm just saying, the whole point of this is that this could all go horribly wrong. Like, Gabi thinks she's doing something helpful, and it could just go south. No good deed goes unpunished. And, this could turn out badly. But we'll see. That's just that's one read on the situation. Eren is going to regenerate, but until he does, is Zeke going to have some kind of weird power-up?
Another thing that we see... Colt running towards Zeke along with Falco, but right before that there's a panel and the text bubble says wait, 2 exclamation marks behind it in the translation. Again, I think it was your boy Levi on Twitter who mentioned the Japanese and said that the text bubble didn't look like it came from Colt, but probably was like a thought bubble from Eren, because the way Colt addresses Zeke is a bit more polite.
I don't think Isayama would have put the words wait on Eren's face with Eren reaching out his hand if he didn't mean for us to suspect that Eren didn't want that to happen. And that's so deliberately done.
Yeah. When I first read it, I thought it was cool, but it was definitely deliberately placed, next to Eren's head because Eren felt the same way. But now I'm not so sure. Either way, it doesn't really matter that much because Eren definitely doesn't want Zeke to scream.
Yeah, I think it's a deliberate placement, but it's Colt speaking because Isayama does not use bubbles for thoughts. When he does internal thoughts, it's just written directly on the page. Like if you look on the lower left, that's Reiner's in there of that same page. You can see Reiner's thoughts. What are these two doing here? And there's no bubble. That's just Isayama's internal thoughts are always just done as text on art.
I know. And he's not saying it himself because otherwise it would be like this little, I don't know, like the text bubble would indicate it was coming from Eren, I thought. That's his style, at least.
Yeah, but I think the placement there was very deliberate to show that Eren is on the same page.
Yeah.
So we've talked a lot about how the fandom thinks Eren is going to get out of this. What do you guys think?
I think we're going to get a Pat's ass pull. Maybe a literal one. Like maybe the bucket girl will show up and pull a new Eren out of I don't know where.
I don't know what you're talking about. He got decapitated. He's obviously dead.
Yeah, I think it won't be any of the popular theories. I think he'll come back together in some fashion, but I haven't actually figured out how he will. I don't have my own bets or theories. I just figure it's probably not as easy as the brain function because that's already been done. I don't buy into the altered memory theory. I just figure there'll be something that happens and it'll probably be a bit of an asshole, but that way no one will see it coming.
I wonder if it's going to be a few chapters or if it's going to happen immediately.
I would love it if it's a few chapters. That way we can see the fallout of what happens with the two.
Yeah, we're finally going back to
it's going to be so chaotic if everyone has to deal with no Eren for a couple chapters.
That would be great. Like we go back to like Historia on the farm, just rocking in her chair.
The big joke is that we're finally going to get an update on Levi and Hanji next month.
It's possible. And it's also possible that if Zeke gets the power up, then things, that the action stays there. But we'll see. We did ask, as we do every month in the poll, what would you most like to see next chapter? And the most popular response at this point is, I don't care as long as the focus stays on the current battle. This is the first month that people do not want to go to Historia or Levi and Hanji or Annie or any other thing. They want the story to stay in this moment and to continue forward. Can you guys see him going that way now or staying with the current battle? That would be one heck of a change.
I don't know. I literally have no idea.
I could see it purely from like a meme standpoint. I could see him cutting away from revealing if Eren's alive, which would honestly would probably piss me off more than anyone else, because that means I can't just get back to putting Eren as alive on the wiki. It would mean we'd have to go at least another month with Eren's status as unknown, even though we know he's going to survive it.
Yeah. But you didn't want to change it just to change it back the next month, right? So if it stays longer, it should be fine, right?
How did you guys handle Erwin's death after the suicide ride? When he was, did you have him as unknown? Because at Armin, you had him as dead, correct?
I think we had Erwin as unknown because Erwin got hit in the side, so he didn't necessarily get hit in a vital spot. Like where he got hit is like a part of your body where, like, even in real life, if you got shot there, you could feasibly survive it. So we put him as unknown.
Yeah, that chapter we had a poll asking, like, do you think Erwin survived? And I think the answers were something like, yeah, yes, he did, or yes, but he'll die shortly thereafter, and a few other choices.
And then what about Armin? Did you have him listed as dead after he got flambéed?
In the manga, yes, because we thought Isayama would stick to his guns and say that the kid who's commonly derided as being the weakest of the main characters wouldn't be able to survive being roasted alive and then dropped off a 150-story tall wall. But he subverted our expectations and had the wimpy kid survive.
I was a little disappointed because I thought that would have been a great death.
It would have been a great death. I mean, I've told people before, like that speech Armin gives about leaving his dream to see the ocean to Eren, that would have made that scene where Eren reaches the ocean with the rest of the soldiers so much like emotionally sadder, but also like emotionally resonant if he's seeing the ocean without Armin and he's sort of fulfilling that dream for Armin.
Yeah, I could have worked, right? If Armin had been the one, I know this is a huge diversion. If Armin had died, then my thought was always that the reason Armin lived, one of the reasons, is because it motivated Eren to stay with the Survey Corps. Had Armin died, would Eren have ever been able to work with Levi? Would he have gone rogue? Armin is the one person who kind of gets Eren, who can reason with him, who believes in him. This was going to be a good thing to have Armin alive to help guide Eren. But we see what's happened now, and Armin has been just as powerless and clueless as anybody. It did not help at all to have Armin survive. It didn't thematically help Eren at all. If anything, it's become worse. So, yeah.
At end of the day, I would have preferred if Armin hadn't survived getting roasted alive, or if he absolutely has to survive, don't do it the way you did
Yeah.
it. Make it more believable that he survives.
I mean, it's a good manga. For a shonen manga, it displays characters' emotions quite well, but then Isayama still kind of falls into the regular tropes of like surviving the impossible. That's where I feel the manga suffers the most.
The biggest problems sort of seem to come when he tries to toe the line between realism and manga tropes. Because for the most part, characters are affected by injuries and life-threatening circumstances the way you would in real life, but then you run into something like the Armin example, where he survives something that absolutely should not, especially for someone like Armin, who's not as like physically gifted as the rest of the characters. Like he really shouldn't have survived that situation.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, I was always at peace with Armin surviving because I knew the plot demanded it. I knew, yeah. Do we want to talk about the inconsistencies first or about the other characters that we haven't mentioned yet?
Let's talk about the inconsistencies.
So when it came to Eren, we saw that he was wearing pants, even though Porco ate them. What happened?
Isn't it funny? All the inconsistencies this chapter, that's the one that people are most hung up on, is the fact that his pants came back. Like, I can think of so many more egregious
And his shoes.
examples. Oh,
Why is he wearing shoes?
Does he have shoes too?
Yeah, he's got shoes.
Gosh, I gotta add that to the wiki too.
Do you all think that that tweet was a small way to explain that?
The one about the 21 pages needing to be done within 2 days?
I've got a lot of criticisms for Isayama, like the Armin thing that we just mentioned was one of them. Like I can criticize him a lot, but respect to him for finishing 21 pages in 2 days and for the art looking as good as it does.
Yeah, it still looked good, but I could see that in certain places it looked a little bit sloppy, like compared to what he normally does. So, but then I saw what he said in the magazine, so I was like, oh, well, that explains it.
I think it's also like, if you look at he once published his working schedule for the manga, and he spends 2 weeks writing the storyboards and the dialogue for a chapter, 2 weeks illustrating, then he spends 2 days prepping for the next month's chapter. So condense all of that into like 2 days, and that's insane on him.
I wonder what else he was busy with this month. Like if he had to, prepare like volume covers and attend all these like events going on. And
yeah, I assume it's the exhibition.
Yeah, I'm sure that ate up a lot of his time.
Well, let me go ahead and read the asks we got on Twitter. First was from, I'm going to pronounce this, Nikloon29. What do you think about Eren's pants? I'm guessing we all think it's just a mistake, or no?
Yeah, probably.
They look nice.
The other one was from J.H. Walter 17, who said, it would be cool if you'd talk about the theory that Eren already activated the founding titan, as many believe it to be true. What percentage of the fandom at this point actually believes that Eren has already activated that founding titan power? Is that reflected in the wiki poll that you all did, the single question wiki poll?
Our poll says that 38% of our voters think at least his death is an altered memory. I don't know about the whole chapter, but they think his death is a memory he created. Okay.
That's a lot.
That 38% adds up to 152 voters.
Well, I guess for our poll, the psych, he never got his head blown, fall in that category then.
Right, and that would be 220. That would be 13%.
Yeah.
Between our two polls then, like if we were to assume that we had we didn't have any overlap in voters between our polls, that would mean around close to 400 people think that there are altered memories playing into this.
I'm sure there's overlap in our polls, but
I'm sure there is. I'm just saying if there wasn't any overlap, that would mean close
Yeah.
to 400 people.
Well, let's just say then let's say 15%. That's still a sizable portion of the fandom that thinks that there may be founding Titan, mind control or whatever, something strange happening here that are not willing to attribute it to just a sloppy chapter.
Yeah, but then also the Marleyans would have been affected by the mind control, which would be weird and not make sense.
Ooh, that's true. I hadn't even considered that.
They shouldn't be
So
affected because they're not Eldians.
I always wonder if that's true or just a lie made up. But then I think about like the Ackerman family. Like they were definitely not affected by the mind wipe, right?
Neither were the nobles.
Yeah, so they must be, also not Eldians, I guess.
In the poll, we asked which was the most glaring inconsistency. And like I said, the majority have selected Eren's clothes magically reappearing. But the one that stood out to me was Pieck being able to transform so quickly. And again, we've already kind of talked about how Isayama doesn't always play by his own rules. But Magath teleporting in and out of Pieck's gun, her playing dead and then regenerating instantly back into her Titan form, and being able to put all that gear back on. Like they had to get the Titan gun off the old form and onto her new one.
Not to mention they've only got like 3 Marleyan soldiers up there, so they don't really have the manpower to be moving that gun around.
And she's probably being fired on the whole time as well. I mean, I know all the Jaeger at this point are dead, but that's pretty hand wavy. Like of all the glaring inconsistencies, I think surrounding Pieck and Magath might have been the most egregious to me.
Yeah, that one was weird. I'm just going to attribute that to like we didn't see the entire fight, so we're just missing certain panels that Isayama decided not to draw. And there is a good explanation, and maybe it will be explored in the anime. I don't know.
That's one of the things. It didn't stand out to me until somebody mentioned, like, "Wait, she'd fake being dead earlier," and I reread it. I'm like, "Oh yeah, she did," and then she would have had to do that because for some reason in my mind I forgot that she had actually discarded her previous Titan. So once I knew that, it became a glaring error. But the one that actually stuck out on me on first read, and it might be because I actually ride horses, it was that Gabi suddenly riding up on a horse without having any evidence of having ridden a horse before.
Well, she did spend a month or so with the Browse family on that.
Yeah, it's possible she might have learned, but I was just like, where'd she get the horse? She's riding it. It's probably a gallop. Yeah, beauties don't gallop.
It was her.
Where did she get the horse?
I'd have to recheck the timeline, but I think that month-long gap that was put in there, I think that may have come before she and Falco broke out, but I'm not sure.
The plot thickens.
Either way, she had her Arya moment. Like a pristine white horse appears out of nowhere. I know a killer when I see one.
These inconsistencies are, what did we count now? 6 or 7 of them? I mean, it's a lot. It's a lot. And I can see why hundreds of people in our fandom are like trying to make sense of this and can't. But
Because it's just, we've seen inconsistencies before, but not this many, and definitely not to this extent, not this bad. So it definitely stands out. And it makes you think if there is indeed more going on. And maybe Isayama's kind of like playing 3D chess himself and trying to divert our attention away from, no, it was just because I didn't have enough time.
If you want to look at it like from a meta perspective, I can see trying to find a meaning in all the inconsistencies, and it is unusual that there are so many. The problem I have with this whole altered memory thing is, if he did it, what's the point? Why didn't he do something better if they already activated the founding Titan powers?
Same.
Because if he activated it, everything would just be over now. He can make whatever he wants.
Plus, there were so many good moments in this chapter as well. Like, they would all be nullified by it not having happened at all.
That's also true.
So it would just cheapen the entire chapter for me.
Yeah, it would be the old "it was all a dream, none of this ever happened."
Yeah, or like the pain arc in Naruto, everyone died, and I finally was at peace with it, and then everybody magically came back to life. And that's where the whole manga for me fell apart.
Do you think there's a chance, though? Okay, so we know that that's not the case, but for characters like Pixis and Nile, I know Rune and I are both Nile fangirls. Is it silly to hold on to hope that Eren can, once he does get the power, maybe undo what's happened with some of these characters?
I would like it. I mean, I would like to think that the founding Titan could undo the Titan thing, because in the past, I mean, supposedly the Eldian kings would use their own people as soldiers in the areas and turn them into pure Titans to attack other nations. It just seems like a bad thing for your country if you can't undo that and bring all your soldiers home again.
When Rod Reese was talking about the Titan power to Historia, he mentioned the ability to create control Titans. And of course, we know that according to the same Uprising arc, that he could end the Titans. So it seems to me that if you have the ability to create, you should have the ability to uncreate. I mean, it's like equal and opposite, right? Well, I don't want to say destroy. I mean, transform, untransform. Does it have to be a permanent thing? Is there a chance Nile could go home to his 3 girls, you know? I mean,
Wrong manga.
Wrong manga. Thank you. My other favorite panel, I think, from this one was Pixis closing his eyes when he realized the gig was up. That was powerful to me.
I like that he's drinking.
That was so in character. Where did he find the bottle of wine anyway?
That was my question.
Another inconsistency.
Unlike his flask, I don't know where he was hiding that.
I'm surprised nobody's mentioned that one as another mistake. All right. Anything else? Are there any side characters you all wanted to mention, or any points that we might have missed in our chapter discussion?
I do think it's funny that Floch, once again, was the sole survivor of his group. Like, how does that keep happening? Why does this little keep surviving? With his Trump haircut. Why?
You know, I thought that was actually a bit lazy that Floch was the only one of his group that survived. I think there should have been a couple more, because the whole thing with Floch is that he was supposed to be not remarkable. He was like he was the one red shirt who's happened to survive in the battle for Shiganshina, and somehow he ends up being that character again. It just doesn't feel quite right, because he's supposed to be the nobody, the regular person.
Well, him surviving would indicate he still has a role, because he could very easily have died in this chapter. I mean, what's one more death?
You know what I want to know? If the person who had that funny look at Zeke's naked body also passed. Can you imagine that's the last thing you see before you die?
Do we know yet if Zeke has clothes?
Yeah, and inside his nape, he was wearing
some sort. Yeah. Where did he find them? Did one of the Jaegerists give up their pants?
I think Floch gave him some.
Yeah, Floch is like a walking wardrobe. He provides Erwin and Zeke with clothes.
Yeah, I think he brought some clothes out for Zeke when they met up with him. I don't know why he would have a spare pair, because Zeke was not supposed to be naked when he found him.
He knows how Jaegers work by now, I guess.
Yeah, I could honestly, it would make sense if he was just like, it's a fair bet he'll need it.
Well, it's funny too. The cover that we just saw, the newest volume cover, has Zeke topless.
I've actually noticed that. He's drawn a lot of shirtless and or naked men in this manga.
He's a chest guy. I mean, it's definite. We've seen it too many times.
Also, I think Zeke has only been dressed like fully in Marley and like completely naked when he's going to Paradise or is on Paradise. And there was one other character I'd like to mention. She only appeared in one panel, and that was Yelena. And I don't know, her hair in this panel looks so similar to like the bucket possible Emir Fritz, and she had this weird expression on her face. Do you think that meant anything, or was it just her being upset at how everything was going down with this battle?
I kind of feel like, I mean, that brief glimpse of her was just, I kind of felt like a reminder that she's she's observing this battle, and she, aside from Zeke and Eren, she's probably the only one who knows what's fully going on. And she can't participate at this point because, I mean, there's armies fighting. She probably doesn't want to get directly involved. She's just waiting for the fallout.
She's probably thinking, why did you not listen to me and not leave this building? You know, she told
Possibly that
Eren
too.
not to do this. Like, why didn't you listen to me? I'm with Rune. It's just to remind us that she's there because maybe next chapter she'll be important. I do hope I'm kind of in the majority there that as much as I love Levi and Hunch, and as much as I'm interested in seeing Historia have that resolved, I want the chapter. I usually I'm pretty good with the month wait between chapters. I'm busy. There's enough going on that I'm not like going crazy for the next chapter. This is one of those months I really want the next chapter. And I want to see how Isayama gets out of this situation. So let's hope.
Well, that was all for our manga discussion. Next, we're going to talk about some of the recent news and also have a Q&A with our lovely guests. So stay tuned and we'll be back after a short break. Welcome back, everyone. So we're going to start with the news first, and let's start with a small update. The Attack on Titan 2 Final Battle game finally released. It was a bit more expensive than I thought it would be. The full game is listed here in the Netherlands at least for €70, so I'm guessing $70 in the US as well. And the DLC, if you already had the base game, is $50/euros. So have any of you ordered it or played it already?
I have the regular version and without the DLC, and I bought it. I have a very large backlog of video games, and that's in my backlog. So I'm very disappointed that I have the older version and I haven't played it. And the DLC price is $50, which I find it crazy.
Yeah, it's expensive.
Because now it'll cost me more having bought it and the DLC together than if I had just waited.
Yeah, because I think the original price for Attack on Titan 2 game was also $7.
Yeah, and I just kind of feel like, well, I was one of your earlier supporters, and now I'm just kind of screwed. But yeah, I mean, I guess that's what I had. The penalty for being so backlogged on games. I'm looking forward to playing it though, because it looks like they added a lot of cool things. I want to see how the anti-personnel gear plays.
Luna, have you bought it yet?
No, but I'm considering it. But yeah, I would have to buy the full game, and I think €70 is a little bit up there. And I, like Rune, also have a big backlog of games. Like I have still 7 games on my PlayStation, and I don't know how many games on that I haven't played yet. So yeah, I don't think I'm gonna be purchasing it anytime soon. But who knows, if it goes on sale, I'll consider it.
What about you, Neat?
I've only played the first game that came out, just Attack on Titan 1, whatever it's called. I've only played that one. I haven't played the second one.
Yeah, that's the one I have as well.
Do you guys have any intentions of getting this one?
I'll get it eventually. Just like I know I want to play the original pre-DLC version eventually, because I mean, I like the idea that they made so many characters playable, because I think I may have mentioned that Eren is not my favorite character ever. And the fact that they made everybody playable means that I get to pick who I want. Just like in the first Attack on Titan game, I played through most of the game when I was doing the bonus missions and stuff as John, because he was actually an option. I didn't want to play any of the main trio.
Oh, okay. Well, that's understandable, I guess.
Plus, in the first game, like each character had different stats, so it's easier to play as one character than the other. Like I don't like Levi at all. Anyone who's on our Discord server knows that. But whenever I played the first game, I'd always play as Levi because he's like He's the most powerful character to play as in that first game, so it was pretty easy to win with him.
Well, that's enough about the game, I guess. Next was a really big reveal, in my opinion, at the end of the final episode, Season 3, Part 2, which that we'll be getting the final season next year in 2020, the fall of 2020.
It's the final countdown.
I know. It's when I hear words final for the series that I've been following for so long, it does make me like seize up with anxiety. But I'm guessing it's going to be a split core like we had this time.
Could be, but yeah, definitely 2 parts to this season. First Marley and then this arc, I guess.
And was it also confirmed that Wit Studio is staying with the project? Because that was the big,
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So
didn't see that coming, that it would still continue and with and that we would be getting it next year. I thought it would be a long wait for the next season, to be honest, after all the rumors.
I didn't see any news that Wit was confirmed to be doing it. I just saw that there was the announcement, which I just took as, okay, they got contracts in place with somebody.
I don't know where I would have to find it, but I think it was on Twitter.
The other big news was something that you all retweeted that Emika50 reported on. She'd listened to the radio interview, and apparently Isayama has said that the final audio room is his image of the series climax, and that he thinks the series will be finished within a year. He did put a caveat to that. He mentioned how several years ago he thought the series would be finished in a year, and it wasn't. But his intention is to wrap it up within the next year. So that was kind of big news. We've been wondering when the series was going to end. I know every month on the poll, we ask people when they think, what chapter will this series end? And most people guess between chapter either 130 or 134. And it looks like those estimates are solid.
Yeah. I mean, the fact that they are doing the exhibit and they announced a final anime season, like he's definitely planning on ending it now.
Yeah.
Soonish. So I don't think it will go on for much longer than he is intending this time around.
Let's also mention, too, that the final event, if anyone is interested, Luna and I did a live stream with 2 people who attended that event. And we have photographs, we have all the videos, we have the audio, everything on our website. So we will link to that if you want to hear. We also have all the food. I actually think we spent more time talking about the food than we did anything else.
And you can also just go to youherebigGirls.com if you just want to look at all the pictures that Coffee Life, or Attack on Mom Life, as she's known on Tumblr and Twitter, took at the event. And there are very, very many of them. And she kindly provided those for us. I would highly recommend at least, watching the pictures and getting an impression of the final event. And if you want to have a little bit more information, listen to the live stream. It's up on our second channel. We'll leave a link in the description.
Once again, we're excited to have members of the Wiki team as our guests this month. And I think I mentioned earlier that the Wiki is something I've known about and used for years, but knew very little about how it was operated or the people behind it. So I've been real excited to hear from you guys this month. So I wondered if we could just ask you some questions. We have some from Twitter, from Tumblr, and also I have a few of my own. But first, it might be good. Just go ahead and tell us, if you don't mind, what is the Wiki?
I'm going to pull up the Wiki's main page and just read that. We are a community dedicated to the manga Attack on Titan, created by Hajime Isayama, as well as its anime adaptation and all other derivative works. This encyclopedia is written by fans, for fans, and everyone is welcome to participate. Edit the articles, upload your photos and videos for the series, or comment on our forum.
Wow, thank you. Let me go ahead and read this comment from Twitter. The username is Bumsich. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. They write, "Hi. First of all, I'd like to thank the entire Wiki team for their hard work. You guys are amazing. I'd love to know more about the people behind the account. How many people are part of the team? What's the reason you started the account? And did you ever think it would grow so much?" I don't know if you guys have anything. I think you've answered part of that already about how many admins there are and hundreds of editors. Is there any more information you wanted to provide us about that?
Well, there are 12 staff members. So there are 5 of us that are admins. We have a reporter role, which handles our social media. And the remainder of our staff are moderators. So the moderators handle content, like what appears on pages, the discussions on our forums, and also our Discord chat. Beyond that, it's a community-run site, so we don't track the number of editors. I mean, there are some that are not staff, and we see them on a regular basis. And some of them edit multiple times a week. Other times, people just come in once or twice, make a couple edits, and leave. But we know most of the people that are regulars. Our Discord channel has the wiki editing channel for a reason, and a lot of the regulars will hang out on there so that they have access to us and say like, hey, why haven't we made a page about this? And we'll be like, oh yeah, we haven't had the time to get to it, or yeah, we think it's a page. Yeah, go ahead and make it, because we know that these people are regulars and they know how we like things set up, so they can go ahead and make the page on their own.
So when a new chapter is released, I know most of my friends, we all start reading it, discussing it, talking about the specifics. How is that different for you all? When a new chapter is released, you mentioned before, I didn't know this, that you lock the channels temporarily until the full chapter is released. What other things might be different?
Well, because the wiki is supposed to be an encyclopedia for the official translation, I mean, the primary reason for locking everything down is we don't want people to add information that may need to be changed a few days later. It's sometimes more work cleaning up after someone who's made a bad edit than rewriting from scratch. There's some people that don't want to read the leaks. They want to wait till the official release comes out, and this way they're able to avoid spoilers. Because we do have some people who want to talk about spoilers, our Discord channel, as soon as the leaks come up, our Discord opens up a spoiler channel for people to chat. So everybody who wants to talk about spoilers does have an outlet for it. They can just go over there and chat about it. And there's even a spoiler wiki editing channel for people to discuss ahead of time. Like, hey, do we need to make character pages for these new characters that showed up? And like Neetaku will make his preliminary list of characters that appeared in this chapter and add it to the spoiler editing.
We also, something we've had to do before is not only lock the manga pages, but we've had to lock anime pages before, because when people see that they can't edit the manga page with the spoilers from the chapters, they'll put it on the anime page instead. Like,
Oh.
like no joke, when chapter 105 came out and Sasha died, spoilers for anyone who hasn't read the manga.
Wrong
but
podcast.
When that chapter came out, we locked Sasha's page, and so someone put her status on her anime page as deceased, and we had to go reverse that and then lock that page so that no one would try changing it back to deceased.
How often does that happen?
Not too often, but like even when there aren't spoilers, like every now and then, like someone would go to Armin's anime page and try and put that he was the Colossus Titan, and we'd have to go and revert it. Someone would try and put something in Zeke's page about him being Eren's brother or something.
Yeah, we had a lot of those, but at least with the new manga leaks, it's not we have a warning that goes up as soon as the leaks come out. We have like a red flag that goes up on the wiki. Every time you try to make an edit, it will tell you, warning, do not add anything from chapter, insert latest chapter number, until it has been officially released on Amazon, Comixology, and Crunchyroll, because we're just telling people ahead of time, like, don't do this. And usually people are pretty good about it. If a page slips by our locking, sometimes maybe it's like an event page or something, and someone will try adding something early, or they may try creating the chapter page a little early.
So how much work is it to keep like everything accurate and up to date? How much effort goes into that, and how many people are needed for that after a new chapter releases, for example?
I think the wiki tends to be pretty self-correcting, because people will, not just the staff members, but people will read something and they'll be like, that's not right. And then they'll go and fix it. And I mean, sometimes you end up with like an overly enthusiastic newbie who hasn't got the hang of referencing yet, because one of the things you'll notice when you go through any of our articles is that every statement should have a little like number in brackets after it, that when you mouse over it, it will tell you the chapter or the episode that this information is being pulled from. Most of the, I would probably say for like 80-90% of the wiki, as far as it goes as the manga series, those references are in place. But sometimes you have someone who's new when they come in and they don't think to add a reference. They just add something. And it might be something that actually belongs on that page. It's just they forgot to reference it. And if I see one of those while I'm following the activity feed, I'll generally go in and I'll either fill out the reference if I know offhand, or I will leave an unreferenced tag after it. And if I'm lucky, someone else will come in after me, see the unreferenced. They're like, oh, yeah, I know where that comes from. And they'll fill it in. It's really great when I mark up a paragraph as needing references and then someone comes in later and just fills them all in. Because somebody probably knows.
That's good. Then you don't have to spend more time on it.
I love that so much about I can't tell you how many times I'm working on a meta, and especially in those early chapters, trying to remember when a certain thing happened. And absolutely, I go to the character page on the wiki, I look to see where in the story that happened, and then I find the chapter that I need, and then I can go grab my screenshot. So I really, really enjoy having that as a resource. If I'm actively answering asks, that's open in one tab while my Tumblr account's open in the other.
I'm glad that's useful. Thank you.
And what's the status on like spin-offs or side stories like A Choice with No Regrets or Lost Girls or even maybe Before the Fall? Are you guys just as meticulous with those stories or?
I'm not, but many of our editors are.
Yeah, the thing is, the wiki's entirely volunteer run, so generally the pages that get the most attention are the ones that certain people feel passionate about. Like, I don't read junior high, so I don't do any of the edits on there, but there are a lot of people who do. So the junior high pages have profiles and chapter summaries, but they're all done by people who are more interested in the series than me. On the other hand, I like books a lot, not just manga. So most of the work on Garrison Girl or the Harsh Mistress of the Series books was done by me.
So I don't keep up with the spin-offs at all, but on Twitter, Zach Yuri asked, since AOT story is coming to an end, will the manga AOT Before the Fall come to its conclusion as well? Will there be an anime for AOT Before the Fall? Now, I know you guys can't answer that, but you certainly can gauge how much interest there is on those series, how much activity is around those. I guess the first question was, is AOT Before the Fall coming to a conclusion as well? And you told me that that's already complete. Is that correct?
It already wrapped up in Japan, and we'll be getting the final volume in English next month.
Any chance we're going to have an anime?
I think if they really want to mine that Attack on Titan popularity, that it's a possibility. They have enough material to work with. I just don't know whether they will.
I'm actually surprised they haven't tried greenlighting an anime for it yet. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if they do make one eventually.
Do you think it would be popular?
It wouldn't be anywhere near as popular as Attack on Titan's anime, but especially if they greenlight it after the final season, like they could probably get a pretty huge fan base at least for one season, just of people who want that like nice hit of Attack on Titan. Whether or not like they greenlight a second season and are able to bring as many fans back for that second season is a different question. But definitely, if they were going to greenlight like, let's say, one core 12 episode Before the Fall anime, they could probably get a pretty decent number of viewers for that.
Well, yeah, too. And then it would serve to boost the manga, which is what most one-season animes do anyway, right? So Before the Fall is 17 or 18 volumes. Like you said, certainly enough for a couple of seasons.
Oh, that's quite a lot, more than I thought there would be.
It's been going on forever. I mean, I own the first 2 or 3 volumes. I plan on catching up. So if I'm indicative of any Attack on Titan audience member, if the anime, I would be interested in, first of all, catching up with the manga and seeing an anime of it.
Okay, something that I was really when we managed to get you guys for this month's podcast was you've also had your fair share of criticism, especially because I remember a lot of people complaining that whenever you Google Armin's name, it always came up as a spoiler that he was already the Colossal Titan. We actually got a question about that on Twitter. Zombie Hunter asks, has the Wiki Team considered making the wiki more spoiler-friendly? Sometimes the wiki is second to YouTube when it comes to spoiling anime onlys. For example, the anime wiki has anime in brackets and titles, but the manga doesn't have manga in brackets. Just one examples of possible remedies, though. What are your thoughts on that, Neat?
Well, Zombie Haunter, I don't take kindly to these accusations you're making. In all seriousness, there's not really much more we can do. I think it was about two years ago, maybe, we completely revamped the wiki. We split every single character's page into a separate manga and anime thing. And the reason we don't have manga in brackets for the manga pages is because we sort of consider the manga to be the like prime canon material, while the anime is sort of a branch continuity. So we put brackets next to the anime characters because we're saying this is the anime variant of the original character, which is the manga character. Or at least that's how I view it. You could also maybe like ask Manuel why we don't put brackets around them. I just don't think there's really much of a reason to. But aside from that, we split every character into a manga and an anime page. Then we went to the main page. Like if you go up to the navigation on our wiki page and you go to the top with the drop down boxes, like if you hover over the characters ones and you go to like the Scout Regiment, all the links under the Scout Regiment drop down are linked to anime pages rather than manga pages. If you click on the characters link, it takes you to the list of characters page for the anime instead of the manga. And once you go to that page, you have to click a separate link to go to the actual manga list. We've basically set up the wiki itself so that you have to actively look for the manga version of things, so that you actually have to try and find the spoilers. Otherwise, you just automatically find the anime friendly version. I know that the way that people tend to get spoiled is they Google stuff. They'll Google Armin R alert, and the first result which will come up is his manga page, which is where all the spoilers are, which we can't do anything about that. We don't have any control over the Google search algorithms. All we really have control over is how we set up the pages themselves. Google's just going to give you like the number one search result, like the page that's on the wiki that's visited the most. Like I'm gonna search it right now. You search Armin.
Yeah, I just did.
Yes.
So I wanted to see if
Armin,
it still said Colossal Titan, but it doesn't anymore.
I don't think it ever did. I can't imagine that because
it did. Yeah, I think it did.
What Google does is it pulls in the excerpt. So the first sentence on that is Armin Arlet is a graduate. Unless the word Colossal Titan was the very first lead-in thing that the wiki had, Armin Arlet is the Colossal Titan, it would not have shown up there.
Here's a better example. I just searched Colossal Titan in Google. The first search result that comes up is the Colossal Titans anime page. Second result is its manga page. Then the third result is Bertolt's anime page. So that's a bit better. Of course, then you go even further down and you find YouTube videos talking about Armin's Colossal Titan explained. So there's YouTube for you.
Even the Google's people also ask, which Titan is Armin? I mean, it gives it away right there. So
yeah.
I see that. People who ask which Titan is Armin.
One of the things we did a few months ago is we added meta descriptions to a lot of the pages. So I imagine that's why when you search for Armin now, you don't see Colossal Titan, because the meta description doesn't mention that at all. It just says that he's a graduate and a childhood friend. So that was one of the preventive measures that Manuel put in a while ago.
You can't prevent everything. I mean, even now it says like his age, like in high pre and post time skip, and his status being alive. So that already spoils something, right?
Yeah.
If you're an anime only. So it's hard to prevent that, I guess.
I mean, probably what I'd like to get across strongest is don't blame us if you Google something and get spoiled. We have no control. We have no control over what search result pops up first. That is not something we can control. So if you get spoiled, if you were to look up, well, I guess it doesn't matter because like this podcast goes out to mostly manga readers, so it's not me saying this isn't going to change much. But anyone who's listening to this, tell all your anime friends, don't blame the wiki when you get spoiled by Google.
Loud and clear, Nate. Loud and clear.
So, amongst everyone who's working on this tab, what has been the most debated decision amongst you?
Well, I don't think it's that exciting, but one of the topics that keeps coming back to us as recently as a few days ago is what to call the final arc. We name all of the story arcs on the wiki, and a popular name that was floating around the fandom was calling it the Jaegerist arc. But
aside from the Marley arc, that one's official.
Well, yeah, Marley arc was official, but most of the time Isayama doesn't name him. So we use a fan name that tries to describe what's going on. And a lot of people were using Jaegerist arc, and that was one of the names that we were debating. But we kind of wanted to hold off because we were afraid that the Jaegerist might be less of a focus later in the arc. And I think that was the right call, because now that we're looking at it, I mean, the Jaegerists are still in the picture, but everyone's talking about Eren and Zeke, and they're not talking about the Jaegerists anymore. But we still haven't decided to name it, and like this topic keeps coming back to us, like every couple months, saying like, so what are we going to call it? Because right now it's unnamed final arc.
Yeah, I joke about that sometimes. In my head, I call this the unnamed final arc because that's what the wiki calls it. But I do. I mean, this question gets asked on Reddit from time to time, and the Return to Paradise, Jaeger Brothers arc, the final arc. I mean, nobody has a clear consensus on what to call this. I think you guys are right to leave it unnamed final arc.
Yeah. And this is also like one of the first arcs where there hasn't been like a clear consensus on what to name it.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Because it's kind of been all over the place, right? Like we followed Falco and Gabi for a while, and then the focus was on Zeke, and now everything is coming together. And it was also, I wasn't sure for a while if this was going to be the final arc or the penultimate arc.
I guess we're still not clear on that, because calling it the final arc would make sense. But if we go on for another year, there may be a mini arc afterwards.
No, if it's just another year, this will be the final one.
Yeah, I like this series, but I don't think it's going to go on past this arc. We have almost all the characters are in the same place. We're only missing like Historia, Levi, and Hanji. And once those three eventually show up, then there's no reason for anyone to ever leave where they currently are.
Yeah. Well, Annie too. Annie needs some resolution. I can't see it ending with her still.
I'm sorry, Annie fans. Yeah, Annie's probably sitting in her crystal somewhere far away.
Y'all think she's coming out before like the final chapter?
I kind of hope she does, because there are people that have been waiting for her for so long. And he actually brought her back recently, even if it was just to show Armin standing outside her crystal. Obviously, he wanted to remind her that remind us that he has not forgotten her.
I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but this chapter marked the Annie is now officially been out of the manga longer than it took to reveal the basement. So she has surpassed the basement as the longest running story, and that needs to be tied up. So congratulations to Annie, and she has now officially been in that crystal longer than it took us to discover what was in the basement. Congratulations.
So we did discuss this a little bit before before we started recording the podcast, but can you tell us a little bit about what the most popular pages are and your reasons on why you think they are the most popular?
All right, I don't know if these are like by far the most popular, but some of the 5 like that the wiki lists as the most popular right now are Mikasa, Zeke, Ymir, the Founding Titan, and Eren. And those are all the manga pages. Those aren't the anime pages. So I guess Google's out there spoiling more people.
Do those surprise you, or is that pretty consistent with what you've seen?
Like Zeke, Mikasa, and Eren are pretty consistent, but it still surprises me. Even though Zeke is a consistent one, it still surprises me that he's popular at all, like as a search result.
I'm really surprised that Ymir's on the list. Unless this season's anime.
And that's for listeners, that's our Ymir, not Ymir Fritz.
Unless she got a boost from the anime, people, hitting the page accidentally after.
That might
Yeah.
be it.
Because she doesn't have a last name. If you type in Ymir, she'll be the first hit.
Mm.
This doesn't have as much importance because this changes much easier. But the wiki also keeps track of the pages that like the most people edit in the past few days. And right now, the most popular ones are we just created a page for the current battle going on, and we're calling it Revenge for Liberio. That one's the most popular like edit right now. It's got 5 different people editing it. Then after that are Grisha's anime page, Kruger's anime page, Pieck's page, and Marley's anime page.
Mm. Yeah, well, that makes sense.
Yeah, everyone busy at work,
Yeah.
updating. It's exciting. So we had a question come in from Tumblr from somebody whose username is translated A, either transladata or translated A. I apologize for mispronouncing. They wanted to know, who are your favorite voice actors working on Attack on Titan, and how much do you know about them?
I'm not generally like a fan in that I follow a lot of a given voice actor's activity outside of voice acting. But generally, I like to see like, oh, what other voices did this person do? And despite the fact I'm not a huge Eren fan, I do like Yuki Kaji. I think overall he's done a lot of roles that I like. It's just that Eren's not particularly my favorite of them.
How about you, Neat?
The obvious one is Moses because he voices himself. But I'm
yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
Luna, is Neat reminding you of
That
a
one's-
slightly tamer Darth? Are you getting Darth flashbacks here at all?
I am literally like banging my head. Yeah.
then it's working. This is staying in. all of it.
Okay.
But I actually am with Rune Lai. I like Yuki Kaji a lot, in no small part. Like, have either of you ever watched JoJo's Bizarre Adventure?
It always comes
Sorry,
back to
no.
JoJo. Always.
Yeah, I've seen a little.
Well, that series is a big part of why I like him so much. He voices a character on there named Koichi Hirose, and that character's voice, like the voice Kaji uses to portray him, is so incredibly high compared to Eren's that like it's insane that he has that much vocal range. So that's a big part of why I like him. Like, I think he's genuinely talented. And I'm also a big fan of Zeke's voice actor Takehito Koyasu, also because of JoJo, because he voices the one and only Dio.
And do you know anything other than the other animes they're in, or?
No, I don't know anything about their personal lives. I just know a lot about the roles they have. And like, Attack on Titan has a lot of really talented voice actors in it. So like, it's sort of like an embarrassment of riches almost, because so many of them are so good.
Yeah, I would have to fully agree. Yeah.
I guess we forgot to mention in the news section that Yuki Kaji got married this month.
Oh, right.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he married Ayana,
Another voice actress.
I thought it was interesting that in her contract, it was stated that she was not to marry until she was 30 years old, and she just turned 30.
Yeah, on her birthday, they got married.
Can you imagine it being in your contract that you can't get married? That kind of stuff blows me away.
I know that goes on in Japan. I was just like, wow, you have to live with that. That sucks.
I'm so happy for them, though. And I did listen to radio broadcasts where he mentioned his marriage, and I'm very happy for him. I'm glad that worked out. He's also my favorite voice actor from this. I mean, how do you choose between the Attack on Titan voice cast when it is literally the dream voice cast? When you got Daisuke Ono and, Kamui, I mean, just all of them are exactly who you want to have in your series.
I particularly thought Romy Park was inspired casting, given that Hanji had the whole gender confusion going on in the manga, and Romy Park voices male roles.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but on Tumblr, my friend Suki recently translated a couple of radio interviews and things where Romy Park talks about having to voice a character without gender, or, how that comes into play when she's actually voicing the role, which I thought was interesting.
Was she talking specifically about Hanji when she was
Yeah,
talking?
yeah, she was talking. It was an interview about Hanji and about Hanji's lack of gender, and how she has to think about that when she's doing the voice. We'll link to that in the description as well. We'll add a link to that interview with Hanji since it came up.
We've mentioned your Twitter, the Attack on Titan Wiki Twitter, and also your Discord. Do you want to give like a little pitch why people should follow you or join your Discord?
You shouldn't.
Well, I enjoy the.
We'll leave a link below anyway, so joke's on you.
Send all your hate mail to Manuel or Ahmed.
I find your Discord to be the most terrifying Discord. I think the two terrors for me as somebody who interacts with fandom: posting to Reddit and making sure I have the right flair, and posting in the Wiki Discord because it's just so structured. Like, it terrifies me. Like, I just want to say hello, and I'm like, I don't know which channel to go to. There really isn't a hello channel.
We don't have a general channel because we've realized in the past that if one exists, 90% of our moderation work would be in the general channel. So just to make it, just to make our staff sane, there's no general channel. And because we want to make it anime friendly, we intentionally break up our Discord into manga friendly channels, anime friendly channels, and spoiler friendly channels for people that want to talk about the leaks as soon as possible. Again, we're trying to maintain that divide where people can talk about with other people who have the same level of knowledge as they do.
Well, I do appreciate it more now. It's a little different from the setup of a lot of servers, but I understand the rationale behind it. And, once you figure out where you're supposed to be, and I will say that the few times I've had questions, I think I've always asked Salamander. He's been super quick to respond.
In addition to being our social media person, he's one of the chat moderators, and he's on a lot.
Yeah, he's the person who's always there. When I've never seen you in there, Rune, which is funny.
Yeah, I'm late night. A lot of times when I'm on there, I'm the only person on. So people will be like, yeah, I'm sorry. Are you one of the moderators? Can you help me? I don't see anyone else.
The last thing that's become something of a tradition, our friend Polkka has sent in another quickfire round. This will be number 4. And basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to list 2 characters, and without giving it too much thought, you all just tell me which one you prefer. Okay? And we'll go in the order of Rune, Neat, and then Luna. So Rune will always be first, Neat will always be second.
Story of my life.
I just want to preface this by saying that Polkka completely missed our announcement of the podcast and made this list very tipsy, bordering on very drunk.
Wow. So, well, that makes it special. All right, Gabi or Falco?
Gabi.
Falco.
Falco.
Porco or Colt?
Colt.
Galliard.
Colt.
Wait, really, Luna?
I just told you, Colt is my 3rd favorite character now.
Okay. Pixis or Nile?
Nile.
Pictures.
Pixis.
Eren or Reiner?
Reiner.
Reiner.
Still Reiner.
Pieck or Magath?
Pieck.
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 Floch or Zeke?
Oh, this is tough. Floch.
Yeah.
Zeke.
I think I answered this one last month, but Floch.
Yeah, we answered this last month. I said Floch as well. Connie or Mikasa?
Mikasa.
Why you do this to me, Connie?
Connie.
Jean or Sasha?
John.
John.
Levi jeans.
I don't even know who Sasha is.
All right, so the next one is the Falco Titan versus the Derp Titan. I'm pretty sure the Derp Titan is the blug-eyed one. So with that in mind, Falco Titan or
the
Derp?
one that ate Mike.
Yes, Falco Titan or Derp Titan?
Falco Titan.
This one's actually hard. Derp Titan?
Derp.
I'm Team Derp as well. All right, Levi or Hanji?
Hanji.
Hanji.
Levi.
Levi. Erwin. Okay, answer carefully, you all. Erwin or Armin?
Erwin.
Erwin.
Neither.
Luna, give me this. Yeah.
Erwin.
Hey, she answered
she sure
right.
did. Nicolo or Yelena?
Nicolo.
the Chad Niccolo.
This is tough. Oh, I hate both of them. Yelena, because she
Yelena.
can control her crazy, and Niccolo is just a piece of shit.
All right, last one. Headless Eren or gutless Sasha?
Get with Sasha.
I think I like Gutless Sasha more.
Headless Eren.
All right.
Well, thank you for being such good sports and putting up with me and Momtaku for like 4.5 hours. I think this is
Sorry.
one of our longest podcasts.
Well, thank you very much for having us.
Yeah, it was great. It was a lot of fun.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I'm glad we got to come on one where people are dying and titans are tightening.
Mhm.
It's definitely been an exciting chapter.
Yeah, I think if anyone, this was really the chapter to discuss, I think, of all the podcasts we've done so far.
Yeah, there was no shortage of things to
It's-
talk about.
Yeah.
It's just a shame that Moses didn't return this chapter.
And Reiner failed at suicide again.
Okay, I'm gonna have a
okay.
flat forehead if you keep doing this to me.
But can we just talk about, yes, Reiner failed at suicide, but he was so good in battle this time. Everyone loves to talk about Eren kicking his butt. I was so impressed with the Warriors this month. They really, Reiner was a beast, an absolute beast.
You're
So-
impressed with them?
So impressed. Weren't you? Not with Porco so
dad,
much, but
Colt dad,
Reiner.
Reiner almost dead. Pieck almost dead.
Reiner was carrying.
I noticed that too. Like every warrior is doing a better job dying than Reiner.
Aw.
My point stands. All right. So we'd like to thank our guests, and if you enjoy our content and would like to help offset costs, please consider supporting us on Ko-fi or Patreon. We'd like to thank our Patreons, Kenny H. and Teton Yeager, for their support.
You can also support us by giving a thumbs up, leaving a review, subscribing to us, or just telling a friend if you enjoy your podcast. As always, thank you for offering your hearts and ears, and see you next month. Bye!
Bye.
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 Is there anything else we want to mention about the chapter that we haven't discussed? Yes? No? Maybe?
I just want to take this moment to throw a shout out to my boy Moses.
I knew it. I knew it.
I will never see Moses the same again. You have enlightened me. I am appreciative of Moses Braun now. He's not a character I've thought about in 4.5 years, but I'm thinking about him now. Hold on a second. Yeah, what, honey?
Is Moses the one in like the very first
Yes.
episode?
Yes.
I thought that name sounded familiar.
The cold of Moses is growing. You've turned her daughter.
You should put a link to both his manga and his anime pages in the description for this podcast.
Do you personally edit those? Are those your babies? I assume.
There's not a whole lot of editing that needs to go on with them. They're mostly completed, but I do consider them my
Okay.
babies.
Yeah, are
Yes.
they locked so that nobody can go in there and make changes? I'm asking for reasons.